Empowered to simplify. Your Arizona Dodge dealers. In a perfect world, everything would be different. Exxon, the best way to get there. Fry's Foods, count on us. The Room Store, we put it all together and save you more. And by U.S. West, life's better here.
Coming at you from the heart of Oklahoma, a state rich in football tradition. It's arena football on the WB. Tonight, the Arizona Rattlers back to work after 17 days off as they go back-to-back with the Oklahoma Wranglers. Hi, everyone. Tom Leander back with you here on the WB with Doug Plank. And Rattlers may want to brush up on the rules to arena football. They've been away from the game for so long, but they need to finish strong in the Wild Wild West.
This win is going to be very important for them if they're able to come out on top, because San Jose is sitting on top of the Western Division. They need a loss from San Jose in their remaining 2 games, and they need to win out the Rattlers.
Rattlers with an 8-2 record coming into this one, and they'll turn to the general of the Arizona Air Force, that of course being Cedric Bonner, to finish strong this season. Now, Cedric Bonner, his completion percentage has been down over the last few weeks, but he hasn't thrown an INT in the last 6 games.
Well, Cedric Bonner is the leader of this team. He's thrown over 300 career touchdowns, and you talked about his percentage being down slightly. It is, but I think more of that is the cause of the changes they made at the receiver position, some of the breakdown in communication. But Bonner, they're going to need a big night out of him to be successful.
Cedric Bonner, you'll see his numbers on the screen right there, but he was awfully fired up after the last meeting between the Rattlers and the Wranglers. Some cheap shots, according to Arizona. We'll talk more about that as we return to set things up here from Oklahoma City on the WB.
Checking in.
Yes, please.
Name.
Sometimes a name change is just what you need. Cellular One in Phoenix is now Alltel.
Buckle up, Rattlers fans, and get ready for a close encounter of the run-and-gun kind. The Rattlers Rally, presented by Taco Bell. It's a chance for the whole crew to hang out with the Rattlers and Sidewinders, get their autographs, and enjoy a fun, free day of interactive games and clinics for the kids. Plus, you can get a free Rattlers t-shirt when you buy an enchilado at any Taco Bell and bring in the receipt. The Rattlers Rally at America West Arena, Sunday, July 9th from 1 to 4 p.m. Call the Rattlers hotline at 602-514-8338.
Tom Leander, Doug Plank back at the Marriott Convention Center in Oklahoma City, and everything is now okay with the Wranglers. After losing 5 in a row, they come back with a solid win over Iowa last week.
That Iowa win was big because Iowa went into that game with a 5-game winning streak. That is only the second time this season that this Oklahoma team had fewer turnovers than their opponent.
Doug, have you ever seen the movie Foul Play? Chevy Chase, Goldie Hawn. It was on HBO today. Interestingly, that's what the Rattlers were crying. Foul play last time these two teams met.
Well, I think it was justified, too, especially as the game was going on in the 4th quarter. Most of it was being directed towards Cedric Bonner. The defensive line, specifically Chuck Reed, number 10, seemed to be diving at his heels throughout that 4th quarter. And Bonner was upset because he felt like the ball was well away to the receiver, and it was really uncalled for.
Hunky actually gets a shot in himself right there on Carlos Johnson, which leads us to our Exxon high-octane performers. We'll take Carlos Johnson, the number 2 leading receiver in the AFL, and the hitman, Cedric Walker. There's some bad blood between these two guys as well.
They certainly are, and they really are the most important players for their team in terms of getting the emotion going. And Walker, I think Cedric Walker's interception last time that these two teams met really was the difference in the game. It really swung the momentum.
Now look at the personal battle between these two players. We'll start with Carlos Johnson, though, nearly exploding and throwing the ball at the referee.
It's amazing that a player would do this in any league. And fortunately for him, the official had his back turned, but now we're going to get a chance to see Johnson and Walker. And this happened very early in the game. And as I said, players remember the last time that you played against a respective team, and who will ever forget this dance that Johnson performed at America West Arena?
The Rattlers won't forget that. Will there be more fireworks here on the eve of the 4th of July? We'll kick things off. It's the Rattlers and the Wranglers here from Oklahoma City on the WB.
The
girls swing into a roaring 20s flashback.
I think I'm in love.
Where sweet temperance lady Sinclair
Have another. You'll be awfully thirsty in Hades.
is romanced by no-good bootlegger Overton.
Just because you have a spiffy daddy Warbucks dude doesn't mean you're going to rattle my tambourine.
It's a divine fairy tale.
Give me a sign. What, you out of thunder?
On the next living single.
Tonight at 10:30 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Checker has more oil choices, like Pennzoil, just 79 cents a quart after rebate with case purchase. And buy any 2 Pennzoil oil filters and air filters and get all 4 for only $12. More brands, more parts. Checker, the place to start for parts.
My name is David. My friends call me G. One hungry young dog I be. I'm cool like a penguin, slick like a tuxedo, so hook me up with my gooey and churrito.
It's ooey, it's gooey, it's your old friend and churrito. Just 99 cents for a limited time.
Go David, it's your birthday. Go David, it's your birthday. Go David.
Right now at the Room Store, hurry in to our incredible July 4th Super Sale and get no money down, no interest, no payments till July 2001. Save on this 7-piece living room with sofa, love seat, cocktail table 2 and table 2 lamps, only $7.97. This casual 7-piece living room, only $9.97. Or this designer 7-piece living room, only $12.97. Don't miss our incredible July 4th Super Sale right now and get no money down, no interest, no payments for a year. Only at the Room Store.
At the Room Store.
Dodge, different. Big savings, just about. Big savings, almost everything. I don't think so. Up to $2,000 cash allowance, most imitated Caravan. $1,000 cash allowance, Intrepid, Stratus, Neon. Big saving cash allowance, almost every car, almost everything. I don't think so. Limited time. Dodge savings. Don't wait. Dodge different. Dodge different. Dodge different.
A ship! I see a ship! Huh? Time to celebrate.
Hey, that's my Bud Light. Give it to me.
Sir, I'm receiving a signal. Surrender or die?
Really?
With a great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
Right here! Right here!
Make it a Bud Light.
Tom Leander, Doug Plank back at the Myriad Convention Center in Oklahoma City as we get set for the Rattlers and the Wranglers. Time now to take a look at our Scottsdale Healthcare injury report. And a late scratch, Maurice Bryant, the offensive specialist, out with a strained back.
It was surprising because Maurice Bryant practiced yesterday, but obviously in the last 24 hours there was something that tightened up in his back.
Stacey Evans also out. He had more work done on his ankle that he had surgery on during the offseason, had arthroscopic procedure during this 17-day break, but he is still not ready to go, and Derek Shepard out with a sprained knee. Head coach for the Oklahoma Wranglers, Bob Cortez, in his first season, the former offensive coordinator for this team when they were in Portland. And Doug, we talked about it in the last meeting in Arizona. This team has been in 3 different cities over the last 5 years, starting in Memphis when they were the Pharaohs. They go to Portland as the Forest Dragons, and now here to Oklahoma City as the Wranglers.
It's hard maintaining any continuity from one year to another, but then to be moving the different cities in the interim, and he's made some massive changes on the lineup in terms of personnel, but he is certainly an offensive-minded coach.
Wranglers with a 5-5 record, a win, and they would secure, at least for the time being, the number 8 seed in the Western Division, and that would mean home field advantage in the first round. Now, Danny White and the Rattlers still have their hopes set on another Western Division title. They've won 4 in a row, but with San Jose 10-2, they're going to need some help down the stretch. And Danny White looking on, very interested in this game, and he told his players he knows all about the payback and all the cheap shots and a lot of comments going back one way and the other. Cedric Walker saying these guys are a bunch of dirty players. He said, take care of business during live action. He doesn't want to see a lot of late penalties. or cheap shots by the Rattlers in retaliation.
Tom, when you look at the countenance of Danny White standing over there on the sideline, you have to wonder, he's probably thinking, what team is going to show up tonight? The one that finished out strong or the one that just took 17 days off?
Danny White and the Rattlers unbeaten on the road. They are 4-0 away from the America West Arena. They have won 5 of their last 6. And Doug, they have not lost to a team 500 or below. They are 7-0 against teams that have a 500 record or lower.
The mark of a good team is be able to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat.
Time now for our Bud Light kickoff. Up and away from Oklahoma City. Bjorn Nitmo kicks it out of bounds. It went wide right of the net. So that will set up Oklahoma with fine field position to get things started here. You have to keep it in play with that opening kickoff. And so they will mark it at the 20-yard line.
Little confusion down there on the field between the officials. One official was getting ready to mark it at the 5-yard line, thinking that it was simply just outside the nets. But you correctly stated, Tom, when it's kicked to the sidelines, the ball is placed back at the 20-yard line.
An AFL worst, 15 interceptions for Ron Lopez. He threw 2 picks against the Rattlers 17 days ago, and then 2 more last week against Iowa. Lopez, back-footed fire along the sidelines, falls incomplete. So an interesting scenario for Ron Lopez when we saw this Wranglers team 17 days ago. He was on the bubble. They were looking at possibly bringing in Jeff Lutz if Lopez struggles.
In the last meeting in Arizona, Lopez had been pulled in both previous games because of his income. The problem with this team, basically, you can point directly at the quarterback position because it's been Lopez who is leading the Arena League in most interceptions. That's been their downfall on offense. 2nd down and 10 for Oklahoma. In motion is Brian Green. Kelvin Ingram, I believe, jumped offside. Lopez incomplete as he was firing toward the vicinity of Bobby McGowan's, but Kelvin Ingram right off the snap, and already we have a little bit of extracurricular. Kelvin Ingram and Tom Briggs. A flag thrown in Oklahoma's backfield. You have to think that that's going to be a penalty going against Arizona. I talked about the bad feelings between these two teams in their last meeting, and I believe that the Arizona Rattler defense is probably looking for some retribution. But again, and another flag drops as the Rattlers continue to complain. So just what Danny White asked his players and begged his players not to do, not to get involved in this fray with Oklahoma. The officials were certainly aware of what took place in the previous meeting, and I believe they are going to set an example here early in the game. So the offside and the unsportsmanlike conduct call against the Rattlers sets up Oklahoma now at the 22-yard line of the Rattlers. Ron Lopez with Carlos Johnson in motion. He now reverses to the opposite side of the field. Lopez, plenty of time, fires for Johnson, who takes a shot. A vicious hit by Cecil Doggett, incomplete. There is one thing that receivers do not want to have downfield, and that is high passes exposing their rib cage to defenders. And Doggett recognizes the pass and quickly closes and delivers a blow to Carlos Johnson. And those sort of hits accumulate during the course of the game, and receivers become very aware of that when they're asked to execute crossing routes. Now remember, Bob Cortez describing Carlos Johnson as fearless. We'll see exactly how fearless he is. They go short now, setting up the wide receiver screen, but no gain. Actually a loss of about 2 yards. The hitman, Cedric Walker, who is one of the league leaders in tackles for a loss, comes up with yet another. Cedric Walker has tremendous recognition of play action and running off of what appears to be a passing route. But Cedric Walker quickly realized this is a play that Oklahoma has run consistently over the last 5 weeks. and the Rattlers were ready for it. They immediately recognized the formation that Oklahoma was in and quickly reacted and gave them nowhere to go.
Ron Moran also in on the stop, but Walker coming into this game tied for second in the Arena League with 5 tackles for a loss. Lopez fires, but wide left of his intended target, Bobby McGowan's. So it will be 4th down and 12 coming up. There is a flag down in the backfield for Oklahoma. Kelvin Ingram signaling that it is against the Wranglers.
And one of those Wrangler players is going to be assessed a fine because Bob Cortez put in a fine system where each player was going to be fined $5 for every yard that they incurred in penalties. And just trying to make an attempt to try to stem the tide of penalties that have been rampant with this Oklahoma team.
It will be a 40-yard field goal attempt for Darren Alcorn, who has 7 field goals this year. His longest is 54 yards. So the 40-yard field goal attempt on the way by Darren Alcorn. Starts out wide right and finishes wide right. So Oklahoma unable to score on their first possession. That will set up the Rattlers with their first scoring opportunity when we come back on the WB. 11:52 to go. First quarter. Rattlers will have it when we return.
When you're looking for value and people who care, come see us at Fry's. We'll always be right there. Count on us. Count on the people. Count on us. Count on the price.
You'll find your favorite cuts of meat at Fry's, including USDA Choice Aged Beef. It's the best beef in town, exclusively at Fry's.
You can count on us. You can count on us. Count on Fry's.
Right. Hey, how'd it go at the bank? Jim, the car loan. Did we get it?
How about a home equity loan?
At Bank of America, we get to know you.
Jim, honey, what's this?
We ask questions.
Car?
Right. So why not a car loan? Well, are they all out of car loans?
Then we find financial solutions that fit you.
Actually, we have plenty of equity in the house, and we could get this thing called a tax break. I mean, where is the trust?
Bank of America. Let's talk.
Rattlers' first possession. Bonner goes along the right sideline, completes to Kevin Knox, and Knox pulls forward for the Rattler first down. Kevin Knox in as the offensive specialist, replacing Maurice Bryant, a pickup of 12 yards.
Looking at Kevin Knox, you can tell that he's excited about the opportunity to get back into the play. He hasn't played since Nashville, and he started out the season against San Jose with a big game, but he's a tall, strong receiver, capable of having a lot of success across the middle, and you're seeing there his strength in breaking tackles.
So the Rattlers 1st and 10 now from the 17-yard line, and Cedric Bonner quickly calls the timeout. So some confusion at the line of scrimmage, and that's been one of the obstacles for Cedric Bonner this season. We talk about his completion percentage being down. He's just not on the same page with his receivers and some of the other players maybe along the line and in the backfield.
In the conversation he's having currently with Danny Wade on the sideline, you can see frustration on both sides.
Cedric Bonner coming in as the number 4 rated passer in arena football. 54 touchdown strikes on the season, which ranks him 3rd overall as we take a look at our depth chart. Coming your way for the Rattlers, and Knox in there for Maurice Bryant. Randy Gatewood should become more of a factor here without Maurice Bryant in the offense, and Oscar Sturgis, a very important performer for the Rattlers here today. They expect big things of Oscar Sturgis.
They certainly do. And we talked earlier about the injury report with Stacey Evans. I know the Rattlers were disappointed because they were hoping that Evans would be back because he had the surgery on his ankle, the scope, early, and they were thinking that there was sufficient time for him to recover, but for whatever reason, he left town, he came back, wasn't nearly in the position they thought he would be in terms of coming back and playing. And Evans had a big game last time against this Oklahoma team late in the second half. He personally shut down one of their drives by deflecting 2 or 3 balls in a row.
I think you called it a Hall of Fame series. He did everything in a late series defensively against this Oklahoma team, and I don't think there are any tears shed by the Wranglers and Stacey Evans.
Second strong inside position on the receivers coming down the outside, either run out routes or run corner routes, but they really protect the inside of the field.
Following the timeout, it remains 1st and 10 for Bonner and the Rattler offense. Hunky Cooper, top 5 AFL all-purpose yardage, offsides against Oklahoma, so Cedric Bonner will avoid the sack. Arizona #1 in pass protection, giving up only 1 sack this season. Cedric Bonner went down in the hands of Briggs, but Briggs jumped off.
And Briggs is making sure that the play is going to end. And a lot of times you'll see defensive linemen jump across offsides and then suddenly stop. At that time, he continued on his pursuit into Bonner, wrapping him up. In last week, I believe that they feel that they can knock quarterbacks out of this league. Last week, Aaron Garcia was running a screen pass, and their fullback, McDonald, came in and just blasted him after the ball was released. But I think they pride themselves in roughing up quarterbacks.
Oklahoma, #3 in the AFL in sacks. Hunky Cooper over the middle, another Rattler first down.
This is a play that you will continually see from the Rattlers tonight. Looking at the Oklahoma defense, they give a lot of cushion on the slot man, at least 10 yards. And in the game last week against Iowa, they continually ran this play, the slot man picking up 7 to 10 yards on a consistent basis.
Hunky Cooper coming into this one, saying that those ankles are feeling pretty good. He uses practice actually to help build up pain tolerance, because as we've mentioned before, he may have surgery on both those ankles after this season. Bonner now 2 of 3, 24 yards in the early going. Pass batted down by Briggs. He can be an intimidating presence. Tom Briggs, one of the league leaders in sacks and quarterback hurries. He also has 3 fumble recoveries on the season. One he took back for a touchdown last week against Iowa.
Briggs had a Hall of Fame game. Briggs needs to be cut down there. When you're throwing this pass to the short side of the field, Kelvin Ingram needs to dive at below his waist and get his hands down. When you just try to block him high, that pass is very ineffective because you can't throw over top of him.
Cooper in motion. They hand it to Iron Mac. He bulls down to the 10-yard line. Bob McMillan, still the team rushing leader. He led the AFL in rushing last season. His numbers are down, but is still very effective, especially when the Rattlers get in the red zone.
Bob McMillan is a very determined player, and at the end of this run, he was able to pick up 2 or 3 additional yards by putting down his arm and not allowing his body to touch or his knee to touch, and managed to scramble for 2 or 3 yards. But when you get the defensive ends from Oklahoma taking hard outside releases like they are, they're going to try to run inside on a consistent basis.
6th play of the drive, 3rd and 2 for the Rattlers with Kevin Knox on the fly. Fake pitch to McMillan. Bonner whips it good to Hunky for the Rattlers 6-pack. Pretty play fake. The fake pitch to Big Mac freed up Hunky Cooper, who went untouched into the zone.
Cedric Bonner caught the defensive secondary from Oklahoma looking in the backfield. He did a fake toss like it was going to be a run, and the defenders looked into the backfield, and it allowed Hunky Cooper to slide just to the outside, reach up, and make a nice catch.
On for the extra point will be Bjorn Nitmo, as Hunky Cooper has now picked up his 9th touchdown reception of the season and a stop and play before the point after. So the Rattlers on the board first. Oklahoma unable to convert on their field goal attempt in their first possession. Illegal procedure against the Rattlers will move it back to the 5.5-yard line for the point after for Nitmo. And Bjorn Nitmo coming into this game ranked 3rd in the AFL in PAT percentage, knocking 90% of them through, 94% over the last 5 games. Nitmo good to go on the point after. 7:18 to go, first quarter. Bonner and Hunky, the 2 legendary Rattlers, hooking up here in Oklahoma City to give the Rattlers the 7-0 lead.
Roseanne's having those dreams again.
Hollinger, you are 5 minutes late.
She's on a trip to TV World.
As soon as I get back from the moon, we'll go someplace really romantic.
It's Rosanna's Jeannie, Marlo, Mary Tyler.
Oh, Mr. Grant.
And more.
Sometimes you just make me so mad.
Come to a remote paradise.
It was awesome.
Next, Roseanne.
Tonight at 11 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Dodge, different. Big savings, just about. Big savings, almost everything. Don't you wish? Big savings, Magnum Power, up to 2,000. Dodge, Ram Magnum Power, Dodge, Dakota, up to 2,000. Cash allowance, almost every truck, almost every car. Don't you wish? Limited time. Dodge savings. Don't wait. Dodge, different.
Rattlers off to a 7-0 lead on the Wranglers. Arizona's Budweiser distributors reminding you to drink responsibly, know when to say when. Next up for the Rattlers after this game on the road in Oklahoma City, they will host the Carolina Cobras Saturday at the America West Arena, and then finish with New England and then Iowa. 3 of their last 4 on the road. The low laser into the hands of Carlos Johnson, and he's tripped up by Cedric Walker at the 20-yard line. Carlos Johnson trying to direct his blockers upfield and did not see Cedric Walker come from the blind side and take him out at the ankles.
The kickoff came short, and Johnson grabbed the kickoff. He's already returned 1 this year for a touchdown, but normally you think of Ricks on this team as the dangerous returner. But Walker, quickly recognizing Johnson was going to head up the left side, reached out and made a tremendous effort at the last second and was able to catch him up by the one heel and trip him up.
A very confident Oklahoma team. We talked about the matchup between Cedric Walker and Carlos Johnson, who now is the intended recipient of that quick pass by Lopez, but a flag drops. Lopez, meanwhile, last night on television here in Oklahoma City, predicting and guaranteeing an Oklahoma victory. Meanwhile, his head coach, Bob Cortez, there on the right side of your screen, adding a little fuel to the fire, saying, well, there's probably a couple of Rattlers on this team that could play for us here at Oklahoma.
Just looking at what has been said on both sides and the way the actions and behavior has been this early in the game, you can tell that there's a lot of bad feelings between these two teams. On that last call, I believe they got Cedric Walker for just reaching across the line of scrimmage in anticipation of the snap count. But I expect a very physical game tonight between these defenders and receivers.
Rattlers' 4th penalty results in a 1st and 7 for the Wranglers. Deep drop by Lopez. He fires a BB over the middle, complete to Kusani Abdul-Salam. It's an Oklahoma 1st down.
That's different than what happened in America West Arena in the previous meeting between these two teams. On the opening drive, Lopez hit Salam on an 18-yard run, which he fumbled at the very end of that play, which started the momentum in the Rattlers' direction. You see Lopez just stood in that pocket despite the pressure that he was getting. And Doggett there, you can see him trying to strip the ball from Salam at the last second.
Abdul-Salam, second-year player out of UCLA, 26th reception on the season. Lopez, quick fire, connects to Melvin Phillips, and he's triple teamed, takes a flurry of shots, and falls at the 9-yard line.
Not many people like to talk about Phillips, but he is an integral part of this offense. And last time in Arizona, he had 4 receptions for 89 yards, but the most important aspect of that was the 2 touchdowns that he scored, and he's becoming a favorite receiver of Lopez. He's big, he's strong. You'll see him leg drive there. It's not very often you'll see Cedric Walker getting pushed back by a receiver, but Phillips was able to do it.
2 touchdown receptions a couple weeks ago in Arizona, and then 2 more last week against Iowa. Lopez now 3 of 5, passing for 15 yards. Pressure there by Wendell Gaines, incomplete. Looking for Abdul-Salam, and Lopez winds up on the turf, courtesy of Wendell Gaines, the former Arizona Cardinal tight end.
Well, I talked about Lopez, his ability under pressure, he makes bad decisions. You'll see there that the ball was thrown way too soon, and then he plays dead like he's a punter, like, I don't know if he was trying to get the official to have, intentional roughing or not, but it's been Lopez's inconsistency which has really been the undoing in this Oklahoma team, especially during their 5-streak loss that they had just recently incurred.
And the reason why, his backup Jeff Lutz was ready to go a couple weeks ago in Arizona, but Lopez has staved off that pressure to complete the last 2 games. Lopez fires this one complete, and Carlos Johnson turned into wallpaper by Doggett. There is a flag down at the 11-yard line.
This is the first time in looking at the sideboards, the dasher boards here in Oklahoma, they actually doubled them up. So instead of just being 4 inches, they're now 8 inches, which has effectively eliminated the sidelines. You almost have to purposely step on the white out-of-bounds mark to be out of bounds here at this arena.
It's amazing how every arena, Doug, can add to its own flavor. I mean, it's almost as if there are no universal rules for every team in the AFL.
And they're talking with the Arizona Rattler defense, so there's been no indication yet on what the.
You see the double paddage too. Illegal procedure called against Oklahoma, and the Rattlers, interestingly, will deny the penalty, making it 4th and 1 at the 6-yard line. So a little bit of gambling. Danny White rolling the dice, saying go ahead, give them the completion, but yet it's 4th down. Danny White very confident in his defense. They're the number 3 rush defense in arena football, and they need to stiffen up here on 4th and 1 from just above the 5-yard line. In motion goes Carlos Johnson, and now a flag drops in the back of the end zone, and it's a delay of game penalty against the Wranglers.
I don't believe, Tom, they even had a play called. I think they were totally anticipating of drawing the Arizona Rattler defense off sides. I don't even think they had a play to run. If you remember last meeting, Lopez tried a naked bootleg himself back to the weak side of the defense and was thrown for a loss. But Lopez, one of the few quarterbacks in arena football that has positive yardage in terms of rushing yardage, that they've wisely decided to go with the kicking team here, feel much more confident of coming away with at least 3 points.
So they move it back, and Alcorn will attempt a 23-yard field goal. He has set the AFL record with 32 field goals in a season last year. 23 yards away for Alcorn. It is dead on straight. The 3 ball for Alcorn, and Oklahoma on the board. 3:48 to go in the first quarter. Rattlers on top, 7-3.
I've been blessed with 5 daughters. Getting custom choice was the smartest thing we ever did.
For me.
3-way calling.
Good. One at a time, okay?
Caller ID.
Tommy. Tommy?
Last call return.
Now get all the phone features you need, including your phone line, in one custom package. Up to a $60 value for only $29.95. Make the smart choice. Custom choice from US West. Life's better here. Order now and get a smart rate on internet access.
Rattlers chasing down the San Jose SaberCats. Took on Grand Rapids on Thursday, a 52-32 win for San Jose, who now moved to 10-2 on the season. Danny White's squad 8-2 coming into this one against the Wranglers. Wranglers very effective, though, here at home. Their new home, the Myriad Convention Center, holds about 13,000 fans. They're expecting 8 or 9 to drop in on this 4th of July weekend, but they are 4-1 here at the Convention Center in Oklahoma City.
I think the home field advantage has a direct correlation with how well the team is supported in that city. And here in Oklahoma, they have a tremendous backing of fans.
Hunky Cooper, the all-time leader in kick returns for a touchdown. Dancing at the 10 and stopped at the 12.
Oklahoma is certainly aware of the records that Hunky Cooper has been able to pile up over his years in arena football, and you can see the determination and the effort that they're giving on their kickoffs.
So now the Rattlers will try to attack this Oklahoma defense, one of the top defensive units, and a unit that forced 3 turnovers resulting in touchdowns against Iowa last week. And that came after they knocked Aaron Garcia out of the game. His backup, Matt Sherman, came into the game and basically imploded, giving up a couple of fumbles resulting in a touchdown. And Mark Ricks had an INT for a TD. Along the sidelines, it's Jai Hill.
Oklahoma trying to change up their defense. Normally, they give a lot of cushion to the person in the slot formation, the guy in motion. That time they decided to back off Jai Hill and try to double team the slot that time, allowing Jai Hill to make an easy catch. And he's another receiver that really hasn't been utilized a lot this season, but every time he's been asked to go in there and perform, he's done a great job.
Talking to Jai Hill before the game, he spent a few days in Vegas. This team had some time off. They didn't actually get back to work until Wednesday of this past week with that long 17-day layoff, and most of the players really enjoying it and getting away from the game. And it was very interesting to see how they would come out, if they would strong. Long ball, Bonner looking for Knox. Touchdown, Arizona, the big bomb to Kevin Knox. 29-yard hookup.
That was a veteran receiver. Kevin Knox slowed down before the ball came, and if we get a chance to look at the replay, you'll see his left hand on Ricks, just holding him back just enough to be able to make that catch at the very end. And Bonner, realizing that Ricks was underneath, made sure that he got a lot of air underneath that ball and it came straight down. But Kevin Knox, just a very incidental push at the last second, allowed him enough space to come down with that ball.
Kevin Knox, who has not played the last 5 weeks, he is basically the backup as offensive specialist to Maurice Bryant. And with Bryant out with the back injury, that meant a starting assignment for Kevin Knox. And talk about big. He certainly does here in the opening quarter, bringing in the touchdown strike from Bonner. Said bomber to Kevin Knox, giving Arizona the 14-3 edge, 1:50 to go here in quarter number 1.
Eric Camden leads the fight to condemn a man for murder.
We find the defendant.
Seventh Heaven on the WB Monday night. Then there's a place where the past is haunting.
I want to know everything.
The future is limitless.
I see it when I close my eyes. I dream about it when I go to sleep. It's not letting me wait.
And the present can be.
I live in this world.
That place is Roswell.
Tonight at 8 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Cedric Bonner now with 2 touchdown passes here in the opening quarter. The first to Hunky Cooper, the second to Kevin Knox out of Florida State. And he has been an excellent team player. You see him at practice, you see him on road trips because he goes on the road. Never really sure if he's active or not until the final minute sometimes.
And he never knows either. Many times he'll actually go through the pregame warm-ups, and then Danny White tells him to go in and take his uniform off. But when you look at the stats he has coming in at tonight's game, he's only had 10 receptions coming in at tonight's game, yet that 3 of those were for touchdowns. I mean, he is a high success ratio in terms of scoring points on every reception.
And yet another former Arizona Cardinal. Here's Mark Ricks off the net. Cuts right, cuts forward, and finally brought down by Jai Hill. But some nifty moves there by Mark Ricks. He is a defensive specialist who can make it happen on kick returns. A 17-yard return there for Ricks. He's taken 2 back for scores on kickoffs this season.
He did 2 of those against L.A. But his recognition of where the defenders are at and his body control. Look at how he's able to move horizontally and get the defenders to react and make a cut off of that. And last week, he had a big return against Iowa, which really put them in position to put that game away.
Rattlers total offense dominating the Wranglers here in the early going. Lopez, quick strike to Melvin Phillips, and they say he stepped out of bounds at the 24-yard line, taken down there by the dog man, Cecil Doggett.
We talked about the size of Phillips. He's a strong receiver, and the defenders from the Rattlers have to make certain that they wrap the legs up and bring him down. He's not going to get knocked off his feet by a simple hit, as Cecil Doggett found out. Unfortunately for him, he was able to recover and grab a hold of his ankles.
Doggett, 5th in the AFL in pass defense with 17 breakups and 3 interceptions, but Doggett has not had a pick in his last 5 games. In motion and going off sides, it appeared, was Carlos Johnson. He takes a pop from the hit man, drops at the 20-yard line, but again, flag at the line of scrimmage. I believe Carlos crossed the line of scrimmage while he was in motion before the ball was snapped.
When Carlos Johnson gets the ball, it doesn't take much motivation for all the defenders to run over there and try to get a hit.
So it is illegal procedure, flagged against the Wranglers. A team that, boy, what a rocky season it's been. Winning their first 4 games right out of the gates, then dropping their next 5. And just when they thought that their season was ready to crumble, then they come back with a solid victory over a very tough Iowa Barnstormer team, an Iowa team that beat Nashville last week, so Bob Cortese must be scratching his head wondering which team is going to appear tonight. Third penalty so far for the Wranglers. Final 20 seconds of the first quarter, and Cecil with the doggy treat up along the boards as he lays the stick on Brian Green.
Well, one of the things that I know that Bob Cortese wants to eliminate this meeting is the number of penalties that they had. Last time in America West Arena, they had 14 penalties, but that was great recognition in running that play just enough to pick up the first down.
End of quarter number one here from the Myriad Convention Center in Oklahoma City. Danny White and the Rattlers leading 14-3.
Right now at the Room Store, hurry in to our incredible July 4th Super Sale. And get no money down, no interest, and no payments till July 2001. Save on this plush casual sofa, only $397. This luxurious contemporary sofa, only $497. Or this stylish designer sofa, only $597. Don't miss our incredible July 4th Super Sale right now. And get no money down, no interest, no payments for a year. Only at the Room Store.
At the Room Store.
I'm serious. Whenever guys find out I have a cat, they freak.
You kidding me? I love cats.
Of course, my cat's not like other cats.
Well, sure he isn't.
He gets so jealous if anyone drinks my Bud Light. Oh, anyway, I'll go get changed.
You're right. Stupid cats.
With a great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
Oh, look at you, too.
Make it a Bud Light.
Checking in.
Yes, please.
Name.
Sometimes a name change is just what you need. Cellular One in Phoenix is now Alltel.
You don't have to score a touchdown to be a VIP with the Arizona Rattlers. Thanks to Fry's Food and Drug Stores, Rattler fans can score 2 $9 seats for the price of 1 for any Rattlers home game. Just stop by your neighborhood Fry's Food and Drug Store to pick up a discount coupon. Take it to the ticket office at the America West Arena and boom, you're a Fry's VIP. It's that easy. Fry's Food and Drug Stores and the Arizona Rattlers. Count on us. We begin the second quarter. Arizona on top of Oklahoma 14-3. Phoenix Airport Hilton, the official host hotel of the Rattlers. Next 3 games, starting with Carolina at home. You can catch that here on the WB Saturday at 7. Then they hit the road to finish things up against New England and Iowa. And then, of course, the playoffs. Dead ahead for the Rattlers. They have made the playoffs their last 8 seasons. Lopez looking for Johnson. Flag drops. Doggett there on coverage.
I think they're going to get Cecil Doggett for contact down around the 5-yard line with Carlos Johnson. That's the same identical pattern they ran in Phoenix for a touchdown, which we were entitled to see the dance afterwards.
Which we so enjoyed. So Doggett called for the illegal chuck there along the goal line. And as always, Cecil responds with a smile.
Yeah, and credit Johnson, though. He really made that play happen. He took it to the inside, and he initiated a contact with Cecil Doggett. But anytime you make, serious contact with the receiver downfield, it's going to go against the defense. And then he made a quick cut to the outside, and the ball was thrown a little bit wide by Lopez.
Triple wide right for the Wranglers. Lopez goes short to Johnson, and he's finally pushed out of bounds. First down yardage knocked out by Doggett. But Carlos Johnson coming into this game, number 2 in the AFL with 89 receptions, trailing only Ben Brunson of Houston.
This is almost like an out-of-bounds play in basketball. They put 3 receivers to one side, and they all go in different directions. And they try to pick one of the defensive backs. And they were successful that time in getting Johnson open down the sidelines. It's not meant to be a deep pass, but try to spring somebody free in that shallow area for 5 or 10-yard gain.
So Carlos with 4 receptions already here, adding to his total. He now has 93 on the season. The former practice squad player in Orlando. Lopez quick hit to Johnson, and he stretches into the end zone for 6. And here comes the aerobics class.
If you notice, there's no one else joining in on that dance. That's a one-of-a-kind, unique, patented.
Certainly nobody in white jerseys.
I noticed in their media guide, though, they had a picture of him on the front cover, but Lopez quickly realizes, and give Lopez some credit here, he quickly got rid of the ball. Johnson sat down between what appeared 2 defenders and made a nice catch.
Darren Alcorn on for the point after. Try to make it a 14-10 ball game. But it's wide right. So it remains 14-9. Darren Alcorn, one of the all-time top place kickers in arena football, misses the PAT. 13-14 to go, second quarter. And already we see our first dance routine here on the 4th of July weekend. And for Rattler fans, you hope it's the last.
My name is David, my friends call me G. One hungry young dog I be. I'm cool like a penguin, slick like a tuxedo, so hook me up with my gooey and chorito.
It's ooey, it's gooey, it's your old friend and chorito. Just 99 cents for a limited time.
Go David, it's your birthday. Go David, it's your birthday. Go David.
Dodge, different. Big saving, just about. Big savings, almost everything. Not today. Most imitated Caravan. Up to 2,000 cash allowance. Most trusted Caravan. Up to 2,000 right now. Big saving cash allowance. Almost every card. Almost everything. Not today. Limited time. Dodge savings. Don't wait. Dodge different. Dodge different. Dodge different.
When you're looking for value and people who care, come see us at Fry's. We'll always be right there. Count on us. Count on the people. Count on us. Count on the price.
For your favorite cakes, pastries, pies, and breads, shop the bakery at your neighborhood Fry's. They're fresh from the oven.
You can count on us. You can count on us. Count on Fry's.
Wranglers cut the Rattlers lead to 14-9 thanks to Fry's Food and Drug Store. You can score 2 $9 seats for the price of 1 to any Rattlers home game. Pick up your discount coupon at any Fry's Food and Drug. Take it to the America West Arena ticket office, and you will be in on this VIP deal. But I would suggest you do it this week because their final home game of the regular season is Saturday against Carolina, and the former defensive coordinator for the Rattlers, Doug Kay, comes to town with his expansion team. Ooh, that kick by Alcorn nearly catches the scoreboard. Off the net into the hands of Hunky Cooper. Cooper has some room. Cooper is still going. He's got Alcorn to beat, but Darren pushes him out at the 22-yard line. He had one last obstacle, and it was big Darren Alcorn, all 256 pounds of him. And Hunky didn't have really enough room along the right-hand side of the field to make a move and get past Alcorn.
Hunky normally tries to run over the kicker, but not in Alcorn's case, not when they're over 250 pounds. Give the blockers credit, though. Hunky Cooper was able to run untouched until he reached the kicker, and Alcorn accounted for 16 points in last week's game against Iowa. It's very uncharacteristic for him to be inconsistent like he has been early in this game.
Alcorn somewhat makes up for that missed point after, with the stop on Hunky Cooper preventing the touchdown. Now it's Gatewood, the intended receiver for Bonner, but he throws it a little wide left, and it falls incomplete. But Randy Gatewood talking before the game tonight, saying that he really hopes to become more of an integral part of this offense. They really haven't showcased his talents much this season. He's made the most of his opportunities, almost a 2-to-1 reception to touchdown ratio, but the 39 catches, not what Randy would hope for.
No, and I think in going against this Oklahoma team tonight, his favorite pass pattern is the quick post, and Oklahoma loves to sit inside and take away inside routes, so I know that he wasn't real optimistic going into tonight's game.
Bonner on second down, caresses and whips, complete, and a face mask by Ricks, who then shoves Gatewood after the play. First, Ricks grabbed him by the face mask, and now he and Gatewood say everything's all chummy.
That's interesting how they can become such great friends in just a matter of seconds.
It takes a lot to get Randy Gatewood fired up. He's a pretty even-keel guy.
I think you're going to see a battle between these two tonight. And Ricks, I love this kid. He's a very tough competitor. I mean, he returns kicks, a tough defender for his size. And you see there that he clearly had a hold of the face mask, but the official was blocked by one of the other players as he was coming down the sideline and was not able to see it.
3rd and 4 for Bonner with Kevin Knox in motion. Bonner, quick drop, a BB for Knox. He tries to roll into the end zone and does for the touchdown. A late call by the official, but they'll give Knox his 2nd touchdown reception here in the first half.
Kevin Knox, what production. Is that his just his 2nd catch for 2 TDs? I talked about coming into tonight's game for 3 touchdowns, which is 10 catches, but Kevin Knox, when you watch this kid in practice, he is always working hard, just waiting for his chance, and I'm still wondering how he made that catch. The defender dove right in front of it, and it looked like Ricks, and somehow he came away with that right in front of the 9 News banner over there on the sidelines, but what tremendous concentration.
And there you have those boards coming into play too, Doug. The fact that Kevin Knox's shoulder pads were up against the boards, he's down on the ground, yet he's still able to roll into the end zone for the touchdown.
It's one of those things that by doubling up the padding here at this arena, I think they effectively eliminated the sidelines, which that may have very well been out had they left it the way it was.
Nitmo, good to go on the point after, and the Rattlers lead stretches to 21-9. Kevin Knox making his first start in 5 weeks for the Rattlers and comes up with his 2nd touchdown reception here in the first half. We're back on the WB right after this.
Has more oil choices like Pennzoil, just 79 cents a quart after rebate with case purchase. And buy any 2 Pennzoil oil filters and air filters and get all 4 for only $12. More brands, more parts. Checker, the place to start for parts.
Shanae's upset.
Did press-on nails go out of business?
She's lost her boyfriend. Now she's trying a TV date.
I'm gonna be on the Love Job Connect.
Her blind date's impressed.
How you doing, Shanae?
But Shanae isn't.
He took me to the drive-thru, y'all. Told her she could supersize it.
She's out to bust up this love connection.
Well, I don't know karate, but I damn sure know crazy.
Chris Rock guests on the next Martin.
Tonight at 11:30 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Rattlers up 21-9, want to quit smoking and need help? Call the Arizona Smokers Helpline, 1-800-556-6222. The call is free, the program is free. He and Ash Kicker quit smoking. How did Kevin Knox see this ball?
We looked at the angle just exactly the way the camera is here, and Kevin Knox, notice the way he turned his body after he made the catch, though the ball didn't hit the ground first. He was able to cradle it around his body. What a tremendous effort.
The ball's loose off the net. Rattlers trying to scoop it up in Oklahoma territory, but they say give it to the Wranglers. Even though the ball is in the hands and the lap of Cedric Walker. Darren Kenny protesting, Hunky Cooper there, but again the affirmation by the officials giving the ball to the hometown team. So they're saying the ball went out of bounds.
Very difficult to do because there's only, the out of bounds line is only 3 inches wide, and it looked like Cedric Walker was able to cradle that ball before it ever was able to get anywhere near the out of bounds.
A smirk on the face of Vice President Gene Nudo, who shakes his head up here on press row, taking a look at that replay. It appeared to be a Rattler recovery. Lopez fires it into the hands of McGowan. He gets free of Doggett and now popped down at the 19-yard line. A flag is down at the feet of Ron Lopez following his completion to Bobby McGowan.
McGowan's had a big week last week against Iowa, 3 receptions for a touchdown. But there was a penalty flag thrown in the backfield, and this is going to be marched off against Oklahoma.
So a big holding call against the front line of the Wranglers will nullify that completion to McGowan's.
And someone's going to be paying. I talked early in the game about
$5.
Bob Cortez, $5 a yard. So if you have an 8-yard penalty, it's a $40 one. And it looked like Bob McMillan was being held from behind
by Tom Briggs,
just as he was closing in on Lopez.
So Tom Briggs, who's a stalwart on defense, number 5 in sacks, but he gets his hands on the jersey of McMillan. Lopez now 8 of 13 passing here in the first half. And a shot by Cecil Doggett on Abdul Salam. But Kusani Abdul Salam does make the catch. It is just shy of an Oklahoma first down.
Somehow between getting hit and getting knocked down, he was able to gain control of that ball. He initially hadn't tucked it in very well, but credit Salam in anticipation of knowing he was going to get hit by Doggett, was somehow able to hold on to that football, not just for the catch, but also after the hit.
Rattlers defense, number 4 in the AFL, giving up just 44 points a game. And that's pretty darn good in arena football. 9.5-minute mark of the second quarter for Lopez. Power ball, but it will fall incomplete. Muhammad Oliver tangled up with Kusani Abdul Salam.
That was great coverage by the Rattlers downfield. Lopez had nowhere to go with the ball and decided to throw it away deep rather than trying to risk an interception. Each of his receivers downfield were well covered by the defensive backs from the Rattlers.
There is a flag on the play. Or is there not? There was a discussion between the officials. I believe there was a penalty called against Oklahoma. They did not officially signal it, but they turned to the Rattlers, who said we decline. So the fallout being 3rd and 3 now for the Wranglers. Oklahoma 0 of 2 on 3rd down possessions here in the first half. Lopez. And completes to Abdul Salam. He's wrapped up by Muhammad Oliver, but it will be an Oklahoma first down.
Oklahoma has become very efficient the last couple weeks at running these crossing routes. And I talked earlier about how they try to pick off defensive backs. When you run receivers very close to each other across the middle, as they did this last time, was able for Salam to spring open to the wide side of the field and pick up enough yards for the first down.
Rattlers leading 21-9 here in the second quarter. Tom Leander along with Doug Plank here on the WB. And jumping offsides as Ron Lopez tries to call timeout was Kelvin Ingram. Lopez signaled timeout. Ingram jumped off sides on the Rattlers defensive front line, and now the discussion begins.
I love it when all the officials are in a huddle down there trying to come to some majority decision.
So Ingram was drawn off sides by Oklahoma.
It's interesting how teams point to each other, and it looked like the motion man, that high motion, was definitely across the line of scrimmage before Ingram decided to come off sides.
And that's the second time we've seen that here tonight. The first time by Carlos Johnson. That time it was Kusani Abdul Salam. Both teams with 5 penalties here at the 8-minute mark of quarter number 2. In motion is McGowan's. Lopez, plenty of time. Frees himself to the right. Fires a long bomb. Incomplete in the back of the end zone.
There's a marked difference between Lopez's accuracy when he has time to sit back in the pocket and when he's forced out of the pocket and trying to scramble and be creative on his own. He makes very bad decisions, and especially in the accuracy of his throws. He doesn't seem to do very well on the run when he's being chased out of the pocket.
And that's what his head coach Bob Cortez says about him. He says, all right, Ron Lopez, he's a gambler. He can make some things happen with his mobility, but he can also get this Oklahoma team in trouble, and that's why Cortez has a quick leash on Lopez, and will turn to Jeff Lutz if things get ugly here for Oklahoma. Lopez on 2nd and 13, flushed out of the pocket, rattled by McMillan, and fires it incomplete. He was blasted to the boards as he released the ball. McMillan with little late aid from Wendell Gaines.
A lot of pressure up the middle. You see Bob McMillan initially chase him out of the pocket and then drive him into the sideboards. Looked like a little bit of extra activity there, but that was a poor decision on Lopez. Running to his right, trying to throw back to his left. He was fortunate that that ball was not intercepted.
Lopez now signaling for a timeout. He may want to be collecting his mind and his thoughts after being drilled into the boards by McMillan. 6:35 to go. We'll take a quick break here on the WB and be back with the Rattlers on top, 21-9.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that works.
At Bank of America, we ask the right questions to find the right solutions for you.
I am good.
Things like our money manager account, which turns ordinary checking into a powerful investing tool.
Sweet.
So what is it, Ted? IPO, tech, stock, internet startup, what?
My checking account rocks.
Financial solutions.
Come to Papa.
That fit you. Let's talk.
Rattlers leading 21-9. Tickets still available for the Rattlers' next home game back at the America West Arena this Saturday when they take on former defensive coordinator Doug Kay and his Carolina Cobras. They came up with a win this past weekend. They've been struggling throughout the season, but they will come in on a winning note. For tickets, call the Rattlers, 514-TD-TD, or Ticketmaster at 480-784-4444. Cedric Walker and the Arizona Rattlers defense not happy with the proceedings last meeting between Oklahoma and Arizona. They felt Cedric Bonner was roughed up by Chuck Reed a number of times in that game, and they actually sent a tape of the game to the league office to review, and they, in fact, have put this Oklahoma team on notice for any more late shots. Lopez in and out of the hands of McGowan's. There defensively, Muhammad Oliver, the former decathlete at Oregon.
You couldn't guard that play much better than Oliver did. He was in a back pedal, and he did not allow very much cushion, and he reacted quickly on the throw. But you'll see Lopez is still getting pressure, and his accuracy, as we talked about a little bit earlier, threw that ball a little bit sooner, and they were trying to sell a shorter route, but Oliver stayed in his back pedal and was able to come out of it and break on the ball extremely well and break up that play.
Quick pursuit there by Oliver, setting up a 39-yard field goal attempt by Darren Alcorn. He's missed a field goal and a point after here in the first half already. Alcorn's kick from 39 yards is wide left. No go. So he's 0 of 2 field goal kicking, has missed a PAT.
This is a big blow. As I said last week in their win against Iowa, he accounted for 3 of 5 field goals and kicked 7 consistent extra points. So his kicking accuracy last week was a big part of their win, and they can't afford not to have him do well.
You're right, 3 field goals against Iowa. He originally set the AFL record in field goals for a season, 27 back in 1997, then followed up with 32 last year to break his own mark, but now he is still sitting on just 7 this year.
Yeah, he currently has a record in arena football with the most points by a kicker of 17, but it's his leg strength. Already this year he's kicked a 52 and a 50-yarder. So he definitely has the power no matter where he's at on the field.
His longest all time, actually, 59 yards. Bonner completes to his main man here in the first half. It's been Kevin Knox, who has 2 touchdown receptions.
Bonner likes the matchup between Kevin Knox and Mark Ricks. There's a definite differential in terms of height and size. In Kevin Knox, we've seen some of the earlier catches he's made for touchdowns, the concentrations that he has, despite being well defended on each of the plays.
You talk about the defensive-minded Mark Ricks coming into this game with 3 interceptions, 14 pass breakups, and he had 2 of those 3 INTs last week against Iowa. Took 1 back for a touchdown. Bonner, 8 of 11 here in the first half. And he goes for the power ball, looking for Muhammad Oliver, the diving catch. But no, they say he's out of bounds. They say he went out of bounds in the back of the end zone. There is a flag down at the 6-yard line But what a beautiful athletic play by Oliver. Even though it's not worth 6 points, it certainly is worth another look.
The penalty is going to be going against the Arizona Rattlers, but what execution both by Bonner in the throw and then Oliver in making the catch. And he did go out of bounds in the back of that end zone. And Bonner running to his left-hand side, very natural for a left-hander to make that throw. But you can see that he came down in the back of the end zone on the out-of-bounds marks. And that's going to be refused by this Oklahoma team. But even though that play went for naught, it was a entertaining play to watch.
And what a burst of courage for Oliver, too, just laying out full bore into the board, stretching out to make the grab. Oh, it was a beauty. Again, that right arm falling out of bounds in the back of the end zone. And the Rattlers now with it 3rd and 5. Bonner. The lob. Looking for Knox. Touchdown. It's Jai Hill. It's Jai Hill.
Jai Hill and Kevin Knox are like brothers out there. I mean, their body style and their type and the effort. This is almost it's reminiscent of the first game of the season against San Jose when Jai Hill and Kevin Knox just victimized the secondary from San Jose. But the ball was slightly underthrown, and Jai Hill came underneath and realized that the ball was going to be underthrown and basically just took it away from Salam, who still had his back turned, anticipating the ball to go well into the end zone.
Back-to-back scintillating receptions. This one by Jai Hill does result in the Rattler touchdown. So Kevin Knox with a couple of touchdown receptions. Jai Hill has one, and so does Hunky Cooper. 4 touchdown passes for Cedric Bonner here in the first half, and the Rattlers have stormed out to a 28-9 lead. 3:20 to go here in the second quarter. Jai Hill coming back on the bomb from Bonner, giving the Rattlers the 19-point lead. We're back on the WB right after this.
Hit the road with the Simpsons.
This is going to be the best vacation ever, or we'll all agree to disband and join other families.
Agreed. As they head for Itchy and Scratchy Land. What could possibly go wrong?
The robots won't go berserk for at least 24 hours.
Everything.
Nobody ruins my family vacation but me and maybe the boys.
The Simpsons.
Tonight at 10 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Rattlers defense has come up with a couple of stops, leading to 2 Darren Alcorn missed field goal attempts. Meanwhile, their offense just chugging right along, and it was the formula that was so effective earlier this season in San Jose, utilizing those twin receivers, Kevin Knox and Jai Hill, the lanky, athletic receivers of the Rattlers.
Well, I remember that game that we were having confusion in trying to differentiate. Sometimes when their uniforms were turned, all we'd see was the 1 and didn't know whether it was an 8 on the jersey or a 2. Because both Jai Hill and Kevin Knox have done an incredible job tonight in anticipating where the ball is going to be and then reaching out at the last second to make the catch.
Nitmo, hard off the net into the hands of Ricks. Mark Ricks along the left sideline, cuts right and right into the lap of Jai Hill. And that is the beauty of arena football. Going from catching the touchdown pass to making the stop on special teams. The two-way threats here in the AFL.
Mark Ricks devastated this Arizona Rattler team himself in last year's meeting against the Arizona Rattlers late in the season with 4 interceptions in one game, but he's also a very valuable kickoff returner. You'll see him use that sideline motion, that horizontal shaking, trying to find a vertical hole to run through, but he's a heck of a returner.
So this Oklahoma offense, which has been sputtering, trying to regroup, and they do with a quick hit. A deep completion into the arms of Melvin Phillips, but 2 flags drop in the backfield. And a frustrated Ron Lopez saying, bring it on back. Holding against Oklahoma, nullifying an 18-yard strike to Melvin Phillips.
The penalty program that Bob Cortez has in effect, I wonder if he penalizes the players for where the ball would be on that play, for example, versus where it was, or just recording it as an offside, say a 3-yard penalty or a 5-yard penalty. But it looked like there were several linemen on the interior that were holding. You'll see somebody look like they were in a wrestling hold getting ready for the body slam.
Josh Heskew was there. Number 66, I believe he was called for the infraction. I want to know where this money's going. There's going to be some lucky charity here in Oklahoma City that's going to come up the big winner. Oklahoma has watched 57 yards in games disappear because of penalties. And now Lopez fires a desperation pass for the touchdown. Brian Green makes the catch, and Lopez was splattered up against the boards after the throw.
When you're a defensive back, and after the receiver has run his initial route, if you see the quarterback scrambling out of the pocket, you have to immediately turn and look up your receiver. And this time, Brian Green was able to get behind Cedric Walker, and he kept looking back at the quarterback. And by the time he turned around, Green was too late. He was too far away from him, and he was able to make the catch in the end zone for the touchdown.
Amazing composure for Lopez, firing it just as he received a licking. And here comes Alcorn, who's had himself a very shaky evening. But he knocks it through on that point after. And now the Wranglers have pulled to within 12. It's 28-16. Ron Lopez rattled out of the pocket, but still able to find Brian Green. 1:39 to go until the half.
Dodge, different. Big savings, just about. Big savings, almost everything. I don't think so. Big savings, Dodge. Durango up to 2,000. Cash allowance up to 2,000. Dodge. Durango, just right size. Big savings, almost every card, almost everything. I don't think so. Limited time, Dodge savings. Don't wait. Dodge, different. Dodge, different. Dodge, different.
Outstanding character.
Ron Lopez with his second touchdown pass here in the first half, cutting the Rattlers' lead to 28-16. Very important game for Danny White and the Rattlers as they put the chase on San Jose for first in the Western Division, and for Oklahoma. If they corral a win here at the OK Corral in Oklahoma City, they would hold the number 8 seed in the West and home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs. Alcorn, a low laser, goes out of bounds, and the Rattlers will take over now at the 20-yard line.
Boy, I don't know what's going on with Alcorn tonight. Maybe he's got his right shoe on his left foot.
He's looking ahead to the 4th of July tomorrow. He's got family plans. He's ready to head out of town already. Cedric Bonner has 4 touchdown passes here in the first half to 2 for Lopez. Neither has thrown an INT.
In the last 3 games, Cedric Bonner has been below 50% in his completions. He's well above that mark right now. And Lopez, you'll see him sitting just above 50% at 11 for 20. But it's been Lopez's interceptions that have been his undoing rather than the accuracy of his passes.
Bonner now with 317 career touchdown passes as a Rattler. That ranks him number 4 all-time in Arena Football League history, behind Kelly, Hamill, and Mike Perez. Bonner, softball, but nobody near it as it drops harmlessly at the 7-yard line. And there is that lob pass by Cedric Bonner we've seen so much this season. Just not the same crisp offense and the timing that he once had with Calvin Schecksnyder as the offensive specialist.
I think his true intention on that play was to go ahead and throw a quick slant pattern, but they tried to cut Chuck Reed. They tried to chop his legs out, and he just jumped over the block. And once Bonner realized that, he had a free run at the quarterback. I believe he just decided to throw it away downfield, make sure that nobody had a chance to catch it.
Cedric Bonner, though, very visibly upset after that last meeting against Oklahoma when the Rattlers felt that Chuck Reed was rolling into his ankles. And Chuck Reed, right there, is Hunky Cooper's former roommate for 3 years in Las Vegas at UNLV. And Hunky had a conversation with Chuck Reed and admitted to Chuck, hey, you're a great guy, I care about you, but those were some blatant late hits. And there wasn't much Hunky could say to defend his good friend Chuck Reed because it was right there on tape.
A late flag that time thrown by the official over on the near sideline. It's going to be going against the Arizona Rattlers. It appeared that there was some movement before the ball was snapped. But that flag was very late in coming.
Picking up that conversation with Hunky Cooper, it veered from talking about his former roommate, Chuck Reed, to then free agency looming in arena football. Hunky Cooper, of course, the veteran with the Rattlers, now playing in his 8th AFL season, will become a free agent after this year. And Hunky's saying, hey, I have to explore my options. There are some new opportunities in the Arena League, the new collective bargaining agreement. They have yet to decide whether or not free agents will be 4th-year players, 5th-year players, or 6th-year players. It's still ongoing, the negotiations. But Danny White and the Rattlers will have a lot of offseason decisions to make. Screenplay looking for Oscar Sturgis, and Tom Briggs was in the way of that pass.
The Rattlers were trying to set up a screen pass to the open side of the field with Bob McMillan, but the Oklahoma Wranglers had covered the ball very well, and Bonner at the last second decided just to try to come back to the short side. But that was another one of those throws that was meant for no one to catch, and just a throwaway rather than either getting sacked or having it intercepted.
Cedric Bonner, another player who will be a free agent after this season. Gene Nudo, the vice president for the Rattlers, saying, hey, we will do all we can to keep these marquee players in Arizona. They mean so much to the franchise, and nobody knows that better than Danny White and Gene Nudo in the hierarchy for the Rattlers. But it will be very interesting to see this new landscape of arena football. Danny White and Gene Nudo, part of the new ownership group, ready to take over this team.
It's one of the mechanics. I think it's going to take some adjusting for not only the coaching staffs in arena football, but also the front offices, administrations, to get adjusted to the new rules, because many of the players that have been in specific cities their entire career now are subject to leaving for more dollars and better offers.
And you always think the grass is greener somewhere else, but all the teams will be under a salary cap, and I think if you match up the Rattlers with any other organization in the AFL, they'll come away pretty impressive. They have always been considered the elite franchise in arena football, thanks in large part to that gentleman right there, Danny White. Danny White looking for his 5th straight divisional title. But boy, they have some catching up to do with San Jose. And when you look at the SaberCats, they have a bye coming up, and their last 2 opponents will be the LA Avengers and the Buffalo Destroyers. Now, Buffalo has won 4 in a row, but Buffalo and LA, not 2 of the powerhouses in arena football, so you could see San Jose slide into the playoffs with a 12-2 mark, meaning Arizona would have to win out.
When you look at it just from a record standpoint, LA and Buffalo are not that impressive, but those are 2 teams that are getting better. And as the course of the season has gone on, their offensive production has gone up, and they've played much better football. So there's always a chance, but San Jose is definitely in the driver's seat.
Rattlers and San Jose splitting their season series. Arizona winning in San Jose, SaberCats winning in Phoenix. Bonner off his back foot, looking for Knox, incomplete with 27 seconds to go here in the second quarter, and Bonner waxed up against the boards by Briggs, who appears shaken up.
It looked like Tom Briggs actually injured himself. He was trying to do a body slam on Cedric Bonner on the out-of-bounds boards, and Danny White is over there just trying to calm the situation. But Briggs last week just had a Hall of Fame game. I mean, he was so integral in that win over Iowa. He picked up 1 ball for a fumble, ran it in 16 yards for a touchdown, had a sack, and also forced the fumble himself. But I think what Briggs actually hit the ground in a very awkward position, and I'm not sure whether it was his right elbow or his left shoulder, but he's still down.
Well, one of the impacts could have been Cedric Bonner. He is not a light quarterback, to say the least. 6'4", 240 pounds. So if you're going to whip Bonner down, try to make sure that he doesn't fall on top of you. But Briggs appears to be A-OK here in Oklahoma. And with 27 seconds to go until the half, the Rattlers faced with a 4th and 13, and that will bring on Bjorn Nitmo for a very deep field goal attempt.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 4th down.
This Oklahoma defense has lived with the pressure of its front defensive line. And that time there was no difference, no change. They consistently were trying to put pressure on Cedric Bonner, forcing him to throw a little bit earlier than he wanted to in several of those situations.
I believe it will be a 49-yard field goal attempt for Bjorn Nitmo when they do indeed set it in place. A lengthy second quarter here, the final minute. up until halftime. And want to remind you to stick around for our Rattler tale as we will profile Randy Gatewood. Randy Gatewood in the spotlight in our halftime feature. And you talk about the marquee names, Cedric Bonner, of course, Hunky Cooper, but Randy Gatewood has made so many important clutch plays for the Rattlers over the years. None bigger than that semifinal touchdown reception, vaulting the Rattlers into the finals against Iowa.
Well, he's second on this team in receiving touchdowns. So when you look at his actual number of receptions, he caught 1/3 as many balls, or 2/3 as many balls as Bryant did, but he's almost equal with him in touchdown passes.
49-yard field goal attempt by Nitmo. It's wide left and live off the net. Here comes Mark Ricks. Ricks up against the sidelines, and he's barreled into the boards by Hunky Cooper. Wow, Hunky laid a stick on Ricks. They're both coming back with mutual respect, and patting each other on the pads. And Oklahoma will have 16 seconds to go here in the second quarter to try to cut into that 12-point Arizona lead.
I think Ricks thought that he had an open lane there and started dashing and accelerating up the sideline. Didn't realize that Hunky Cooper had his number and had the perfect angle on him, was able to drive him out of bounds, but looked like that was almost a neutral hit. It's not very often you'll see Hunky Cooper get knocked down in that fashion, especially from a kickoff return.
Boy, we have seen some heavy hits here in the first half, but very clean hits. We were worried about a dirty game between these two teams who are so fired up against each other. Cecil Doggett trying to strip Melvin Phillips of the ball. And it is complete to Phillips, marked down at the 23-yard line of Arizona, now with 12 seconds to go until the half.
One of the things the Rattlers are doing more on a consistent basis is trying to strip the football. And I think Danny is over there trying to protest. How did the receiver go out of bounds when he was being forced back up the field, and they were fighting for the ball? And I think that's what his disagreement is. He felt like that ball was just either an incompletion or should have been a fumble.
Danny White and the Rattlers led 14-3 after the first quarter. Their biggest lead, 19 points when they led 28-9. But Lopez coming back with a touchdown pass to Green. And now, firing over the middle, Cedric Walker knocks it up with the pass breakup at the final second. Once again, Lopez looking for Green.
Trying to come back to Brian Green again on the matchup with Cedric Walker, but that time this was totally different. This was not a broken play, and Walker had great position on the inside and broke on the throw. Brian Green really hasn't been that much a part of this offense this year. Last year he was hampered by a knee injury, spent most of the year on injured reserve, but he only had 16 receptions and 2 touchdowns coming in at tonight's game. But he's one of those second or third receivers that Lopez goes to if everybody else is covered.
Walker making the biggest play in that last meeting against Oklahoma, the 48-yard touchdown return on the INT. Lopez complete. Seconds running out here in the half. Brian Green needs to get into the end zone. He will not, and the half has hit us here in Oklahoma City. Brian Green and the Oklahoma Wranglers with one last chance to stick it into the end zone, but the final seconds tick away, and Arizona heads to the locker room leading 28-16. Stick around for our halftime show. Randy Gatewood, the feature of our Rattler tale. We'll be back to show you the first half highlights and all the statistics in our upcoming halftime show here on the WB.
We both come from big families, so we got smart. We got custom choice. Caller ID. It's your Uncle Lou.
Oh, go ahead. Please.
Custom ringing.
Is that your family?
Call waiting. Your brother's on the other line.
No, which one?
Now get all the phone features you need, including your phone line, in one custom package. Up to a $60 value for only $29.95. Make the smart choice. Custom choice from US West. Life's better here.
We're gonna have lots of kids.
Order now and get a smart rate on internet access.
Harvey. Hey, Ted.
That was my last one.
Moving on, guys. He's dry.
Woo!
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down.
Eat it.
Make it a Bud Light.
God. Dodge. Different. Big savings, just about. Big savings, almost everything. I don't think so. Big savings, Dodge. Durango up to 2,000. Cash allowance up to 2,000. Dodge. Durango, just right size. Big savings, almost every card, almost everything. I don't think so. Limited time, Dodge savings. Don't wait, Dodge. Different, Dodge. Different.
Checking in.
Yes, please.
Name.
Sometimes a name change is just what you need. Cellular One in Phoenix is now Alltel.
Kids Club 61 presents Rattler's Tale.
Got a 1st and 10. Bonner, Gatewood, touchdown!
Cedric Bonner and Randy Gatewood have been torching defenses for years now. And Bonner connects with Gatewood for the Rattlers 6-pack.
Randy provides the stability, somebody that you know is going to be where he's supposed to be, you know he's going to do what he's supposed to do, and he's going to make plays for you, he's going to make great diving catches.
Randy Gatewood makes a spectacular grab! How did he come up with that one?
I'm the guy who he's probably going to throw the ball to on 3rd down, on 4th down, in clutch situations.
I don't think there's any other player next to Hunky that's as clutch a receiver as he is.
Being the go-to guy in the clutch, Hunky Cooper was a good source of information when Randy first started in the AFL.
My first few years here, everybody knows me and Hunky was really tight. He taught me a lot about the arena game. He's been, a really, really big part of my success.
Double trouble Randy Gatewood. If Randy had a counterpart in the NBA, you'd never guess who he'd pick.
Maybe the Dennis Rodman, but not the wild things, just the guy that does the dirty work.
Lobs it up for Gatewood. And Gatewood comes down with it. Part of that dirty work sometimes means standing up for yourself. The last time Arizona played Oklahoma, Randy had a minor confrontation with the Wranglers' Barry Dillard.
The one play he knocked me down, I was past the 5-yard rule. And I got up and I was barking at the ref about it, but he didn't, it didn't seem to bother him. The next time down, he literally just reached out and grabbed me, and it had happened once or twice already during the game, so I just got to the point where I wasn't going to tolerate it anymore, and I gave him a little shove, and he shoved me, and then I shoved him again, and, from that point on, I didn't have to worry about him holding me or grabbing me or anything like that, so it must have paid off.
Now, don't start to think that Randy's all about confrontation. He likes hugs and kisses, too. From his wife and children, of course.
I am. I'm a proud father.
And to see him just want to spend time with his family and want to work to be a good father and to be a good husband, I really respect him for the maturity that he's gone through.
Kids are something else, and everybody will probably agree with me. They bring out the best in a man. They do, and I have 2 little girls and I have a little stepson, and it's wonderful.
An all-AFL first-teamer in 1997, Randy Gatewood is back, playing like his All-Arena League self here in 2000. Pretty soon, he might end up winning a Father of the Year award, too, if he's not careful. Gatewood still alive at the 10 down the sideline. Double trouble is in the zone. That's your Rattler's Tale. I'm Mark Goldberg. Rattler's Tale has been brought to you by Kids Club 61. Back here in Oklahoma City, the Myriad Convention Center, where the Rattlers have the halftime lead 28-16 on the hometown Oklahoma Wranglers. Tom Leander back with Doug Plank, and when you look at the first half, Doug, you have to talk about the missed opportunities for the Oklahoma Wranglers. 2 missed field goals by Darren Alcorn, and then the final seconds of the first half, very poor clock management by Ron Lopez and his offensive coordinator, his head coach, Bob Cortez, as they watched the final seconds run down. Brian Green trying to zigzag zigzag his way into the end zone.
Very unusual to see their kicker, Darren Alcorn, miss the type of kicks that he was. Last week, as I said, he contributed 16 of their points against Iowa, but he's been very inconsistent and even fallen over into his kickoffs. How unusual to see him kick the ball out of bounds, and kickers realize that's one of the worst penalties in football. But I think the biggest crime was their clock management at the end of the first half and allowing them not even to be in a position to go for a field goal.
Yeah, very important not to be denied in scoring opportunities here in arena football. Take a look at the quarterback comparison. Cedric Bonner versus Ron Lopez, brought to you by the Room Store. Bonner now 9 of 16 with 4 touchdowns. His season high is 7. Career high is 9. Lopez, not bad himself. 13 completions for just 130 yards.
Well, I think both those quarterbacks would be happy. Lopez for not throwing in interceptions, but look at the ratio of touchdowns to completions with Ced Bonner, and he's throwing over 50% also.
We'll be taking a look at some of the highlights, too, and Ron Lopez with that desperation throw to Brian Green, or else Jeff Lutz might be in there as the starting quarterback. But there you see the touchdown possession breakdown. Just 2 of 6 for Oklahoma, and they're lucky to be only trailing by 12.
And they're spreading the football around. Both Lopez and Bonner, we saw both Jai Hill and Kevin Knox make some key catches. But Lopez also, he's went to Brian Green a couple times that really, I'm sure, was a surprise for the defense for the Arizona Rattlers.
Very interesting. Kevin Knox in there as the offensive specialist tonight for Maurice Bryant, coming up with 2 touchdown receptions. We'll be seeing the highlights when we return here from the Myriad Convention Center in the heart of Oklahoma. Rattlers leading by 12.
Dodge, different. Big savings, just about. Big savings, almost everything. I don't think so. Up to 2,000 cash allowance, most imitated. Caravan. 1,000 cash allowance. Intrepid. Stratus. Neon. Big saving cash allowance, almost every car, almost everything. I don't think so. Limited time. Dodge savings. Don't wait. Dodge different. Dodge different. Dodge different.
I've been blessed with 5 daughters. Getting custom choice was the smartest thing we ever did.
For me.
3-way calling.
Good. One at a time, okay?
Caller ID.
It's Tommy. Tommy?
Last call return.
Now get all the phone features you need, including your phone line, in one custom package. Up to a $60 value for only $29.95. Make the smart choice. Custom choice from US West. Life's better here. Order now and get a smart rate on internet access.
Checker has more oil choices, like Pennzoil, just 79 cents a quart after rebate with case purchase. And buy any 2 Pennzoil oil filters and air filters and get all 4 for only $12. More brands, more parts. Checker, the place to start for parts.
On the best of Buffy, he's the man who seems to have it all. His charm is irresistible.
I'm not sure that we can trust our memories.
But for Buffy, it's quickly running out. The best of Buffy all summer. Then, LA's a tough town, but on this night, a mysterious force makes everyone a little too friendly.
Angel?
I think someone needs a hug.
He put the whammy on you.
Angel, after Buffy.
Tuesday night at 7 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Rattlers on top, 28-16. Time to look at our fantastic highlights here on the WB with the Rattlers and Cedric Bonner out of the gates quickly. The fake pitch to McMillan, setting up the touchdown to Hunky.
Great play by Hunky Cooper in evading the defenders and making a nice catch in the corner of the end zone.
Bonner then to Knox, and the fingertip control by Kevin Knox.
You'll see at the last second, Kevin Knox was able to separate from Mark Ricks and make the catch.
14-3 Rattlers after the first quarter. Lopez, quick hit to Carlos Johnson, making it 14-9. Blind catch by Knox, who rolls into the end zone.
We watched that 4 or 5 times trying to figure out how he came away with the ball, and what great anticipation here by Jai Hill in stopping. That's the most difficult pass to try to defend as a defensive person.
And the stop by Cedric Walker, one of 3 defensive stops by the Rattlers in the first half. Oklahoma did have a field goal, though, but only 2 of 6 possession to touchdown for Oklahoma. Arizona leading by 12. We're back with Vice President Gene Nudo and the second half after this.
When you're looking for value and
Kids Club 61 presents Kids Correspondent.
Hi, I'm Winnie from Kids Club 61, and my question is for Cedric the Hitman Walker. After injuring your knee in 1998, do you feel like you're back to your hard-hitting self?
Winnie, that is a good question. Last year was kind of a struggle because I didn't have too much confidence in my knee. I feel like I'm back to where I need to be, even though there's a little more things I can take advantage of. And then we can have fun like we did in 97.
Kids Correspondent has been brought to you by Kids Club 61. Getting set for the second half, Cedric Walker with a big defensive stop there at the goal line for the Rattlers. And that is so important here in the Arena Football League, denying Oklahoma's offense. And Oklahoma came in struggling offensively, Doug, into this game, averaging just 48 points per game. That is 10th in the AFL.
And I think when you look at why, it's basically been their turnovers and their penalties. And we were laughing about Bob Cortez's program where he implemented fines for all the penalties that are taking place, but it's had somewhat of effect, especially last week.
Cortez and the Wranglers very comfy here in their new home at the Myriad Convention Center, 4-1. But the Rattlers, the lone remaining team in arena football, undefeated on the road at 4-0. The only other unbeaten on the road had been Orlando until they fell to Tampa Bay.
You know, when you're on the road, especially playing in hostile places, I think that's when you have to play consistency, and that's what the Rattlers have done this year.
So Hunky Cooper gets things started here in the second half, wrapped up by Barry Dillard. We have not called Barry Dillard's name up until now, one of their top defensive backs, and he had a big impact last time out against Arizona, 5th in the AFL in pass defense.
Yeah, he's somebody that's been bounced around in camps with the Redskins and the Cowboys, but over the course of his career, knee injuries have haunted him and really kept him from achieving the execution that he would be able to otherwise. But, you know, it's surprising. Dillard, as you correctly stated, Tom, played such a big part in that first contest. We haven't heard much of him tonight.
Dillard now matched up on Randy Gatewood. They talked about that matchup back in Arizona. Hunky Cooper on the quick hit from Bonner and a pickup of 7 yards up along the right sidelines. We're joined up here in the booth by Gene Nudo, who so nicely has got his little remote control hooked onto his lapel.
You guys want to talk to Danny?
And we'll just let you steal some plays. Wranglers coming in with a 5-5 overall record, trying to secure the number 8 spot in the playoffs. The Rattlers, meanwhile, 8-2, trailing the 10-2 San Jose SaberCats. Bonner now 10 of 17, 144 yards and 4 touchdowns. Second down, and he finds Hunky over the middle. He rolls to the 20-yard line. A Rattler first down.
Hunky Cooper nearly turned that into what was going to be a touchdown run. Mark Ricks, who was guarding the slot, had coverage on Hunky Cooper that time. And I talked about this in the first half. Oklahoma's defense, they play real deep on that slot man. They allow the receiver an ample opportunity to make that 7 to 10 yard catch. Mark Ricks came up and made a nice sure-handed tackle, but you know, still you can't give the offense that consistent 7-yard pickup.
Watch Randy Gatewood on this play.
Randy Gatewood in motion. He will be the intended target. So says Gene Nudo. Bonner looks to Gatewood, fires to Randy, incomplete at his feet. And the pressure applied defensively by Chris Butterfield, 4th-year player out of Humboldt State. Butterfield, who had a fumble recovery for a touchdown last week against Iowa.
Why do all the guys that have butter in their last name weigh over 300 pounds? I mean, I wouldn't even want this guy landing on top of me. Forget about trying to hit him. I told you, Tom, he came to college at 230 and he left at 310.
Well, now he's down to 290, at least according to that graphic. I'm not sure if I believe it.
That was before pregame meal.
And then you mentioned there's Butterbean. You've got Butterbean, too. I mean, you get butter in your name and you're just a big dude. You got butter in your name and butter in your diet. 2nd and 10 for Bonner. Plenty of time. And again at his ankles after the throw is Chuck Reed, and a flag drops. There we see the antics of Chuck Reed after the pass by Bonner, rolling into the back of his ankles, and the referee right on top of it.
Well, Chuck Reed's trying to put his shirt back on, so I'm not sure whether he's going to call roughing on Bonner.
Well, that was with the intent.
He was initially held by Tucker, but still able to wrap his body down at the ankle of Bonner. And again, we told you in the first half, this Oklahoma team is on notice for plays like that. Chuck Reed did that numerous times in Arizona 17 days ago.
One of the difficult things about football is to try to hit, especially illegally, guys that you know. Chuck Reed knows Cedric Bonner, and that's what I find incredible, that he would continue to go after, below his knees.
Pitch play to McMillan. He gets the first down and then some up along the right-hand boards. Iron Mac with the Arizona first down. They go to the rush on third down, and McMillan comes through.
There were some big reasons why McMillan, Darren Kenny just knocked McDonald flat on his back, pancake block, and then McMillan just continued like a bulldozer down the sideline, just chewing up defensive backs.
Kelvin Ingram also swallowing up Tom Briggs there along the line and throwing him to the turf.
It looked like McMillan was going one way and Ingram was going the other way.
So the Rattlers will have it, first down and goal from the 7-yard line. Bonner whips it into the end zone, touchdown. Hunky Cooper, second touchdown reception of the night for Hunky Cooper, and the 5th here in Oklahoma City for Cedric Bonner.
There's no secrets in any football league, and Iowa ran this same play last week for a touchdown at the same area of the field. Hunky Cooper comes down and he tries to sell an inside route on Salam, and then just gets his body in between him and Bonner and makes a great catch. Was able to hold on to the ball.
It almost appeared that Hunky trapped it there on the turf, but they give him the 6, and on comes Bjorn Nitmo to try to up the lead to 19, and he does. 35-16, Arizona in command here at the 10:33 mark of the third quarter. Hunky Cooper, second touchdown reception of the night, courtesy Cedric Bonner.
These are the days to ignore convention.
This wasn't in the brochure.
Of the season, leading 35-16, Taco Bell presents the Rattlers Rally Sunday, July 9th from 1 to 4 p.m. at America West Arena. This free event features interactive games, football clinics, and autograph opportunities with your favorite Rattlers, Sidewinders, and of course, Gene Nudo, right? Are you going to be there?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't miss it for the world. It's a great time. All the players will be there, and everybody has a wonderful time at the Rattler Rally.
And you're going to tell them how you can steal plays as we'll utilize that little
I had the
microphone and remote. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. He's hooked right up to Danny White. But, Gino, I want to talk to you about going into this game, and Kevin Knox, who provided the early spark coming in as the offensive specialist. We hadn't seen him in about 5 weeks. You must be very impressed with how he has kept sharp during that time off.
He's worked so hard, and he's a very consistent receiver, and it's showing tonight, obviously.
Nitmo splits the uprights, and Ricks picks it up off the soft net. Blasted from behind, but Gatewood lets go, and there goes Ricks up along the sidelines, and finally taken out of bounds. Randy Gatewood a bit too preoccupied with trying to strip the football loose, and watch Mark Ricks get loose.
Mark Ricks is a dangerous kickoff returner. He has 4 touchdowns this season. And when you look at the effort that he gives on this last return, he refuses to go down. And I think the remarkable thing about this kid is he didn't start playing football till his senior year in high school. But he just doesn't want to get knocked down. You're going to have to tackle him and knock him on the ground.
Hey, Doug, when you got a 19-point lead, you need to start doing the right things. That's tackle the guy. Don't worry about yanking the ball out, okay?
It's when you're down by 19 that you want to try to force the turnover. Randy, I think, has that scoreboard a little mixed up there inside that Rattler helmet.
And he's a very intelligent player and a heady player, and I don't want to insinuate that he's not a smart player by any means. Just was a poor judgment on that particular play.
So Randy Gatewood and the defense will set up as Oklahoma squares away at the 22-yard line. In motion, Carlos Johnson. Kelvin Ingram and McMillan laying the pop on Lopez. They will be flagged for the quarterback roughing. And boy, did they come at him from both sides.
The officials coming in tonight's game, I think we're going to try to do everything they could to control the emotion on both sides. They realized there were some bad feelings that occurred. with pressuring the quarterback, and it's going to be roughing the passer against the Arizona Rattlers, bringing it inside the 5-yard line. Both teams have to maintain their composure.
They came in high, too, on the helmet of Lopez. McMillan with the hop above the shoulder pads. He tried to pull back with both hands.
That referee, Wes Fritz, was Bob McMillan's science teacher at the College of DuPage. I can't believe he just nailed him.
Bob must not have shown up for class enough. First and goal for Oklahoma inside the 5. The give on the first rush of the evening by Oklahoma. It's Travis McDonald. The ball is loose, and Arizona has it.
McDonald never had this ball. You'll see him early in the play holding it against his right thigh. Now you'll see Cedric Walker. Looks like he's getting in a wrestling match with one of the officials.
He was trying to go after Carlos Johnson, our high-octane performers, but Walker and the Rattlers will celebrate the turnover and rub it in at the same time.
McDonald never had control of this ball. Travis McDonald, you'll see the handoff. It quickly goes down to his right leg. You can see he's trying to hold it there, and meanwhile trying to pick up additional yardage at the same time, and it looked like Ron Moran came in with his right hand and stripped the ball loose. You know, turnovers don't happen by accident. They're caused by players, you know, purposely trying to concentrate, but you have to understand, like Gene had mentioned earlier, do it at the right place at the right time. And in a heavy traffic situation like this, when you have somebody turning their back with effort, and I'm not quite sure what Cedric Walker was so upset about.
Well, he had the ball. Carlos Johnson was trying to pry it loose, and then Walker caught him under the chin. We'll have an offsides here, but Gino talked about this past week in practice for the Rattlers, and Danny White really stressing for his team to try to maintain their composure, because as we set it up from the beginning, there's a lot of bad blood between these two teams.
Well, the best thing that happened to the Rattlers in beating Oklahoma last game was the perceived shots that they took at Cedric, because our guys came back from the bye week very focused, and you can tell we came ready to play tonight, and we're ready for anything that they want. You know, we'll beat you any way you want. You want to play rough and get beat, you'll get beat that way. You want to play nice and get beat, you'll get beat that way.
Cedric Walker added to that, saying, you know, that bye week didn't help them relieve the tension. If anything, they couldn't hit anybody, and they were more upset. Bonner on 1st and 12. Whips it. Oh, in and out of the hands of Kevin Knox. The pass broken up by Mark Ricks. And that was the trademark of Ricks 17 days ago in Phoenix, coming in at the last second and chopping at the hands.
Mark Ricks staying well inside on Kevin Knox. The only way that you can throw an inside route when you have a defensive back is to cut the pattern off and run a crossing route, which Kevin Knox did. But Ricks came in perfect timing with that right hand, was able to strip that ball loose from Kevin Knox.
This was the one guy, Ricks, that used to give Calvin Schexnayder the most trouble every year. You know, he was in Nashville, and then he went to Portland, and we always had a difficult time with him. He's a very good defensive back.
Coming into this game, second on the team with 14 pass breakups and 3 interceptions. He'll go to the air. Courtesy Hunky Cooper. He's going to fire it into the hands of Mark Ricks. Interception. Ricks can get up and run with it, and now is touchdown at the 15-yard line. So they try a little trickery. Hunky Cooper, though, nowhere near his intended target, Randy Gatewood, and it's an interception thrown by Cooper.
I think Hunky tried to throw that ball away and just didn't get enough on it.
It looked like he realized that Randy Gatewood was cutting off his pattern, and he was well covered on the play. And I think Hunky, as Gene had correctly stated, just was trying to throw the ball away, not realizing that Ricks was in a position to accelerate and somehow come away with that catch.
4th interception for Ricks this season, his 3rd in the last 2 games. He had 2 last week against Iowa.
It's interesting how much this team asked him to do, not just on kickoff returns, but also do a great job on the defense.
So the first turnover here tonight for Arizona. Let's see if Oklahoma can turn it into 7 and make this a ball game. Incomplete. Lopez looking for Carlos Johnson. Johnson had a very sparkling first half, but has been quiet here in the second half.
Just getting back to Ricks, he leads this team in tackles coming into tonight's game. So, I mean, he's a very active player. He's always around the ball, and he makes some great plays when the ball's in the air.
And he had 3 picks in 1 quarter against us last year for Portland.
That has to be a record. I mean, he ended up with, 4 interceptions for the game, but 3 of those came in just 1 quarter.
Lopez now 14 of 25, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quick shot over to Johnson, and Johnson is met and stuck by Cedric Walker, a pickup of 6 yards. the hitman, Cedric Walker, all-time leading tackler for Arizona. And it will now be 3rd down and 4 for Oklahoma.
Both these teams feel that they can have success on quick routes, quick passes out to the outside, because they feel like some of the defense on the perimeter isn't playing as aggressive as possible. That time they set trips to one side and try to run that quick screen pass and still manage to pick up 4 yards.
Arizona looking for back-to-back victories over Oklahoma. A flag drops. Doggett breaking up the pass to Bobby McGowan.
The umpire threw the flag right away.
Cecil Doggett is clutching his right calf. It does appear that could be a cramp, Gene Nudo pointing out.
I'm praying, all right? Out loud.
You'd rather have them working on that tissue there in the calf than the knee area. Cecil Doggett, one of the top covermen for the Rattlers, and I understand you guys have brought in possibly another player to add to that defensive secondary down the stretch.
We've been working out a young man by the name of Ricky Parker, who was a 3rd-round draft choice, I believe, with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's looked real good in practice. Again, we're just trying to shore up our team as we head to the playoffs.
And it was Cecil Doggett, who you brought in a few years back, coming out of the World League, who meant so much to the team down a stretch drive, and you can never have enough covermen in arena football. But Cecil Doggett still down there on the field being attended to by Matt Anderson and assistant athletic trainer John Singh. And I want to pass along a special hello to John Singh's father back in Phoenix, Steve Singh, who I'm sure is watching this game on the eve of the 4th of July. And Steve, we hope you're feeling well and enjoying this Rattlers game and their lead of 35-16 here, 6:13 mark of the 3rd quarter. There is John Singh. And
well, it doesn't look like Cecil's hurt too bad. Everybody's laughing.
Well, we mentioned that Cecil Doggett, even after a flag or taking a tough pop, he always has a smile on his face.
He's really grown into a leadership role with our club. You know, when you come in the middle of the season like he did coming from the World League, it's hard to become a leader. But now that he's been entrenched here and he's really done a super job, and he's had a very good season for us. Although he doesn't have the interceptions I think that he'd hoped to have had, I think he's considered by the other teams one of the top corners in the league.
Don't you think, too, though, Gene, that a lot of times those interceptions come as a result of pressure on the quarterback, bad throws, and I know what McIntyre down in Orlando is currently leading arena football, but I think a lot of his interceptions are coming on balls after the quarterback's been hit. He's just trying to catch ricochets and that sort of thing.
I agree, and Orlando's a good pass rushing team, but the thing about tonight that I'm really happy with, it looks like our guys are refocused. We've won some ugly games along the way, and I think although this game is not over, I think we're in a good position now to make a good push for the playoffs.
It will be 4th down and 5 when we return. There is the voice of Gene Nudo.
I didn't realize my voice looked like that.
Very impressed when that came up. We talked earlier, and I want you to touch on it because I mentioned the conversation that we had with free agency looming and the fact that 4- to 6-year players can become free agents after this season. Cedric Bonner obviously fitting into that category along with Hunky Cooper and others.
We're going to have our work cut out for us. It's going to be a new landscape for us as a business, trying to determine who the players are you want, who you want to invest your money in. But one thing about Danny's been very selective about having his kind of people here. And we make the comment all the time that we take a lesser talented guy to have one of our own people. Because during the course of the ball game in the 60 minutes, character is going to emerge at some point in the game. If you have character, you overcome whatever adversity is there. And we feel like we've got good character on this team and good leadership on this team. And Hunky and Cedric and guys like that are guys that we can really count on.
And you talk about investing. How about the fact that you're now investing in the ownership group along with Danny White? And what changes could there be down the road with this change in ownership?
I think the changes would be subtle changes that the fans would see, but I guess the key thing is we want the Rattlers to be a priority, and not that we're being shortchanged by any means, but we want a staff focused on just the Rattlers.
4th down for Oklahoma. They're trailing by 19. Need to convert on this 4th down, and there is Wendell Gaines as Ron Lopez throws it up here nearly into the press booth. Ron Lopez, I'm not sure if he forgot it was 4th down. Throwing it away is not going to help him, but what pressure applied by the Rattlers defensive front.
Well, I think that was his cousin up there in row 10 that came down with that.
Yeah, Ricky Lopez. He played for the...
I've seen a ball get thrown away, but not quite like that.
You know, last night on the news here, Lopez came out and said that we should never won the last game and they were going to do this and they were going to do that. And their coach came on the news and made some comments that a couple of our guys may be able to play for them. And I'm so glad that our guys were in the hotel watching the news last night.
That was all they were talking about this afternoon, as if the blood wasn't boiling over enough. And now Ron Lopez and the struggling Oklahoma offense only able to put 16 points on the board to this point. They hand it over to Arizona. And will we see Jeff Lutz when that offense returns? Jeff Lutz, a former Rattler quarterback who's been waiting in the wings. He replaced Lopez 2 consecutive weeks. Lopez was able to go the distance, though, against Arizona and then last week against Iowa. Hunky Cooper. This time, he will rush it. No passing for Cooper. I think they took that out of the playbook. And now we've got Kevin Knox mixing it up with number 98, Eric Drakes, and a flag drops.
They were teammates in Orlando, those two guys. Maybe they're just getting reacquainted.
Hunky Cooper already experiencing 3 touchdowns running this year for the Arizona Rattlers. So he's a very valuable asset in short yardage and inside the 10-yard line.
Hunky has scored every which way. He has 10 receiving touchdowns this year, 4 kick returns for a touchdown, 3 rushing, and he has thrown for a touchdown as well.
How about Jai Hill? I mean, he gives Hunky some quality rest out there. I mean, Jai is such a threat, particularly down here now where the fade pass is real prominent. Jai will go up there and catch a ball with one hand and hold the guy off with the other.
I think, you know, over the course of the season, if you listen to especially Doug, I mean, he is one of our favorite players because he's very unassuming and just comes in at the most clutch times.
Jai is a real asset.
And, you know, the other thing, too, Gene, you talked about defense. You know, his height is a real asset at that jack linebacker position in catching those weak side passes.
2nd down and 9. Bonner over the middle into the end zone. In and out of the hands of Oliver. Broken up there by Barry Dillard. Dillard 4th in the league in pass defense, coming in with 18 breakups and 3 interceptions.
When Oliver comes out of his break, that ball has to be thrown, I think, with a lot more steam than Cedric Bonner. He floated that ball, and he gave Dillard an opportunity after the break to get over there and accelerate and get his hands on that ball. Had that ball been thrown a little bit harder and quicker to the outside, I think it would have much greater success of being a completion.
I think all in all, though, Cedric's timing is a lot better tonight than we've seen it in recent weeks.
3rd down and 9 for the Rattlers. In motion is Kevin Knox. Bonner, caress, and whip to Knox, but incomplete. A flag drops at the goal line.
Kevin Knox did an unbelievable job of selling the stop route to the defensive backs. And then when he took off, and I'm not sure whether it was Green or McGowan's, just grabbed his jersey, and I'm almost certain that's what's going to be the call down at the goal line. Kevin Knox did a great sales job to the defensive backs.
Kevin is a guy that is a non-stop talker. You know, he's... I felt bad for the DB. He beat for the 2 touchdowns, you know.
He got an earful.
You can see Brian Green with his left arm reaching out there and almost ripping the 1 off his front of his jersey.
Brian Green, a former second-team All-Arena performer, and he was caught red-handed there in a moment of desperation.
Another $15 out of his pocket.
I'm telling you, some charity here in Oklahoma City is breaking in the bucks. Bonner fires it, a BB into the pocket of Jai Hill. 2nd touchdown reception for Jai Hill. And the Rattlers are exploding here on the eve of the 4th of July, leading now 41-16.
You can't put a value on the accuracy of having a quarterback down here. It's almost like a basketball game. Not only do you have to be accurate in throwing the receiver, it has to be to a particular side. That time, Jai Hill sat down right between 2 defenders, and Bonner just delivered the ball with a lot of authority.
I think the fans will be going out. There's a fireworks display at 10 o'clock. You'll see people start heading to the exits now.
You know, you wondered why we brought you in. We got some, we got a little fill time coming up here. The Rattlers keep pouring it on. Timeout, 3:12 to go. The Rattlers have extended their dominant lead. It's 42-16 here in Oklahoma City. Bonner, the fireball to Jai Hill, who had 2 touchdown receptions coming into this game. He has 2 here tonight.
Checking in.
Yes, please.
Name.
Sometimes a name change is just what you need. Cellular One in Phoenix is now Alltel.
If house A costs this much and house B costs this much, how much will I save if I buy house A?
Well, honey, it depends.
At Bank of America, our people ask questions, even at home.
This is your first home or your retirement dream home? Say on house B, you have one of our shorter-term mortgages. You can build equity faster, pay it off faster.
They find solutions that fit you.
And maybe save enough money to buy, say, Lake House C. Assuming, of course, that...
Dad, you're doing it again.
I am?
Bank of America. Let's talk.
Rattlers leading 42-16, and check this out. The Battle of the Sexes, Thursday, July 20th at 7 o'clock. Members of the Rattlers will compete against members of the Phoenix Mercury at the Arizona Mills Mall GameWorks. Turn in a pack of cigarettes or a tin of tobacco at the door, and you get in free and a GameWorks game card to boot. It's all brought to you by the Rattlers, the Mercury, and the Tobacco Education Prevention Program. Oh, Maria Stepanova, Jen Gillum, and the Mercury taking on Hunky Cooper.
Please, don't even start. They will get pounded, okay?
Oh, here we go.
It could be free throw shooting, though, Gene. You don't know that.
Yeah. Do we know what the events are?
Doesn't matter.
If Maria Stepanova goes 6'8" and it's a block party, you guys are in big trouble.
I tell you, she's a fine player, Maria. She really is.
The Russian rejecter.
There's a lot of Cowboys here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
They are.
He's got the beverage in the left hand.
He left the bull outside. No, the bull's right behind them. Wait a
minute. Look at Wendell Gaines. He's not listening to a word that Cowboy has to say.
That's their scout. That's Oklahoma's scout.
Oh, my. Off the nets, into the hands of Mark Ricks. Ricks pursued and dropped by Paul Reynolds. Last time we saw Paul Reynolds at the America West Arena 17 days ago, he didn't know his name, his phone number, or his residence.
He woke up looking for Coach Snyder.
He was walking like Elvis Presley back to the bench.
He was absolutely leveled on a rushing play and now wants to put the hurt on Oklahoma. And we see Jeff Lutz coming into the game for Oklahoma as expected. Jeff Lutz, a former member of the Rattlers, played with Arizona in 1997 and 98. This year, completing 78% of his passes for 4 touchdowns, no INTs. So he is in relief of Lopez, takes a quick hit in the end zone, but somehow makes the connection to Carlos Johnson.
Last time we saw Lutz, he looked like Johnny U against us in Albany.
Is that Albany? Oh, my. I remember our players coming out saying, oh, good, Lutz is going to be quarterback.
And instead, he responds going 20 of 31, 6 touchdowns, 274 yards in relief of Mike Pulaski, and Jeff Lutz was named the AFL Player of the Week, giving it to his former team in a big way. Carlos Johnson on the fly on 2nd and 5 for Lutz, and he connects to Brian Green. Now, this is the type of quarterback that Bob Cortez has described Lutz as. Very confident, sharp, and much more deliberate in his delivery. He's not the gambler that Ron Lopez is.
No, and his percentages are much higher, almost 70%. You know, he throws much more controlled type passes, but Lopez is setting up here, and it looks like he's going to get an injury to his left ankle. You'll see ankle. Looks like Perry was backing up because of the rush and actually stepped on Lopez's ankle.
Yesterday at the airport, Lopez's folks were on our flight. He was at the airport, and he had a brace on his left ankle. So a bunch of our guys were standing there saying, Lopez has got a brace on his left ankle. McMillan tapped me on the shoulder. Lopez was standing right next to me.
Oh, and that was the left ankle that turns again. What an amazing catch by Carlos Johnson. Spinning in the air. And then, as always, heated exchange with Cedric Walker. Those two cannot meet out there on the turf without exchanging their own barbs.
Well, last week, I'm sure Johnson's a little frustrated. Last week was one of the first weeks of this season. He didn't have any touchdowns, but what an incredible catch there, reaching out that left arm and being able to somehow gain control of it. And nearly, well, he almost picking up a first down.
Tony Curtis, he looked at Boston Strangler in there, you see.
Just checking the thorax of Carlos Johnson. They've marked it at 2nd down and 1. Following that reception by Johnson, coming into this game as the number 2 leading receiver in arena football.
$15.
Uh-oh, another penalty. 8 receptions so far for Carlos.
Yeah, but I like the touchdown to receptions ratio there. It looks pretty good.
And that was our comment after the first touchdown reception early in this game, because we don't want to see that aerobicizing anymore. That is one of the more pathetic celebratory routines in the AFL. And another flag drops.
I don't think the tight end declared. I think Drakes was too busy motioning to the referee about something.
Oklahoma, the 3rd most penalized team in arena football, and lacking the discipline here in the final stages of the 3rd quarter.
And that killed them in the last contest they had with Arizona. They had 14 penalties in that game alone for 77 yards.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, the call now against Oklahoma. They are coming apart at the seams. Jeff Lutz, though, finally getting his shot here and trying to pull his troops together.
You see, this all goes back to character, too. And we're not going to unravel like that.
And a flag drops once more. Unbelievable. Before they even step to the line of scrimmage.
This has to be an offensive penalty if they have it called that soon. Probably someone not declaring.
Unsportsmanlike conduct again. And they have now ejected a member of the Oklahoma Wranglers.
Who, me? What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on?
I believe it is Eric Drakes. Drakes is the one putting up the fuss, and he will head to the locker room.
The officials came into this game tonight with a very deliberate plan, and they were not going to let it get out of hand.
Eric Drakes, 9th year of arena football out of Akron, acquired 4 weeks ago from the LA Avengers, and he might as well head back to Los Angeles.
Not one of our guys waved goodbye to him.
No hugs, no pats on the shoulders.
You know, his name wasn't even mentioned in their press release. There was nothing to say about the guy. No tackles, nothing. I mean, not even playing time.
Bob Cortez needs to pull his team together. Next week, this Friday actually, they are at Florida against the Bobcats, and still with their eye on a playoff spot. With the expanded playoff format, I might add. I think everybody and their mother's going to make the playoffs. Jeff Lutz at the buzzer here to end the 3rd quarter, and Green loses it. Stripped from behind by Jai Hill. As if Jai Hill hasn't done enough here with his 2 touchdown receptions, he jars it loose at the final seconds of the 3rd quarter.
Stick a fork in them, Harry. They're done.
Brian Green never saw the defensive Jai Hill coming from behind. You'll see he gets control of the ball, and Jai Hill comes from behind and just strips the ball loose.
How about Brian Drummy, 300 pounds down the field?
Nearly deflating the football. They're going to have to bring in a new pigskin when we come back. 4th quarter, Rattlers leading 42-16.
When you're looking for value and people who care, come see us at Fry's. We'll always be right there. Count on us. Count on the people. Count on us. Count on the price.
Fry's has the very best selection in fresh vegetables and perfectly ripened fruit. So for the best produce, shop your neighborhood Fry's.
You can count on us. You can count on us. Count on Fry's.
Man, where you been? Remember last summer we went to the ball game? You said, stay right here. I'll be back with a couple of Bud Lights.
I forgot to come back.
I sat there the entire season.
Wow, 50 games?
You know when I knew you weren't coming back? When they tore down the stadium! Did you get to keep the seat? I'm kidding.
This is my last Bud Light. Wait here.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light.
Hi, this is Mike Golick for ESPN Radio 860 KMVP. Whether you follow the D-backs, Suns, Rattlers, Coyotes, or Sun Devils, we're the leader in sports coverage for Phoenix. I'll help you kickstart your morning on the ESPN Radio Morning Show, followed at midday with Kevin Ray. Early afternoons, it's the Dan Patrick Show. Good. Then Dave Burns and Ron Wolfley fire up the sports grill. From America West to the Bob to Sun Devil Stadium, the Mercury's rising, the sun's up, and your home for sports is ESPN Radio 860 KMVP.
Our friend Cowboy Bob, obviously with not a clear view of the scoreboard, because he can't see that his team, the Wranglers, are having their hat handed to them, 42-16, here to begin the fourth quarter. Every Monday night, you can join the Rattlers for dinner at Country Harvest on the southwest corner of Priest and Elliott in Tempe. I'm sure we'll be revisiting Cowboy Bob there in the end zone.
Dear John, I sent your saddle home.
Well, that was a pretty tough one-foot gain on that one. Bob McMillan last year, who led the Arena League with 180 yards rushing, and I think he ended up with 8 touchdowns. But because this offense has been able to strike further out this year, they haven't had quite a need for him inside that 10-yard line like they did last year.
Cedric Bonner still in there at quarterback, and could we see Lance Funderburg here to wrap things up?
I hope so. I think if we get a score here, you'll definitely get that.
Jai Hill in motion. He's the one that knocked it loose from Brian Green. Little cadence work there by Cedric Bonner, and all sorts of players jumping off sides. The question now being, was Oklahoma pulled off?
Now, this is the thing that really is a hard part of arena football when you have continuous penalties play after play. And the fans got to understand that these are players that are playing both sides of the ball, so fatigue is a big factor. You know, in traditional outdoor football, you play 3-4 plays, you go back to the sideline. This game, you're out there, 11, 12, 13 plays in a row. It's really a cardiovascular game.
It was amazing. There was an article in the Sporting News this past week recapping that incredible finish to the Super Bowl between the Titans and the Rams. And amazing to hear that even a guy like Kevin Carter would come out of the game in the final stages of that last play, because he just didn't have the energy to finish out what was such a long Tennessee drive. Here, these guys, there's no place to hide.
Well, you see a rookie in our game, and he'll tap the top of his helmet, to the bench, and everybody just gives him a hand like, get back in there. What's the matter with you?
You really have to be in amazing shape with these guys weighing 230, 280, 300 pounds. And they're going to have to finish this one out here. The final 14 minutes with Arizona in command and answering the bell after those 17 days off, coming out razor sharp. Flag drops. They'll stop the play. And boy, these napkins started the day pretty sharply yellow, and now they're beginning to fade. They've hit the ground so much.
The Oklahoma players are going to have to hope that this is not against them, because otherwise, with that fine schedule Bob Cortese has initiated, they're well under the salary cap with tonight's game.
No, they won't get checks. They'll get an invoice.
Sounds like somebody speaking with experience. Mr. VP.
It didn't take him long to come up with that one, Tom.
No. You owe me. I don't owe you this week.
Bob Cortese wondering where the wheels came off.
Yeah, Bob's a pretty good guy. I had a chance to visit him. I think this is going to be a good market for arena football.
It's a big football state. I mean, he was talking about that before the game. There's a passion for football. Bonner pumps, looking deep for Jai Hill, who gets caught up with Kusani Abdul-Salam.
Salam using that sideline as an extra man. You'll see that he just ran Jai Hill into the first down marker and actually bent it up over there on the sideline. But credit Salam, guarding a much taller receiver, was able to correctly use that sideline and really never allow him to get down the field.
And the heavily padded sidelines. We talked about how the disparity in arenas from city to city, and here you see the double-breasted sidelines.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, they really have nice pads here.
I can't believe that they
you guys are really reaching, aren't you?
We're wondering if there's any type of rules infraction. That's why we bring the VP in. They've got too much cushion here. Bonner frees himself, looking for Oliver, and the flag drops as he is interfered with in the end zone. Barry Dillard there, along with Kusani Abdul-Salam, and Dillard the culprit.
That's an old defensive back trick. When you have the receiver in front of you, by a step, run up on the back of his ankles, as you'll see Dillard do here. He doesn't necessarily hit him with his arms or anything. He just tramps on the back of his ankles, and 99% of the time, the receiver will go down.
How about the courage, too, of Oliver earlier in this game? When you came over to watch that replay, he had that full eagle spread out touchdown reception that was taken away because his right elbow was out of bounds, but what a scintillating catch that was.
And Muhammad's a real talented receiver. He's getting back into the swing of things too now. And he, quite frankly, Danny's starting to divide his time a little more with Randy Gatewood, so they're getting more even time, and it gets you into the flow of the game a lot.
And he's been battling injuries. Last year, the shoulder separation. This year starts out with a hamstring injury.
So the guy who relies on his legs, that's a difficult injury.
Top-notch decathlete in his days at Oregon, the former North High grad. Bonner whipping it up top for Oliver, who can't come down with it. Broken up there by Dillard.
When that ball was in the air, notice Oliver, he's down there trying to complain to the official about getting a call, but he was actually pushing off also with his left arm, trying to create some separation between him and the defensive back. But Dillard did a great job. I mean, he managed to stay in good position. And I think Oliver was trying to say never turn around, look for the ball.
Just the way you coach him, split their hands with his hand. He came right through there, very nice.
And now I know how Al Michaels will feel. Dan Fouts on one side and Dennis Miller on the other.
And
Is this what it's going to be?
And Al Hurt in the middle, right?
Is that going to be interesting or what when Dennis Miller joins the team on Monday Night Football? 2nd and 10, flag drop. Bonner frees himself, avoids the sack, and then throws it with his right hand. You've got to be kidding me. The left-handed Cedric Bonner frees himself, completes the pass to Muhammad Oliver with his right hand. We knew he could play volleyball. We knew he could play basketball. I didn't know he could throw a football with the opposite arm. Watch this.
This must be the last year of his contract, is it, Gene?
I don't know. I tell you what, it make Danny's play calling a lot easier if he went right-handed more often.
He's working it all.
Almost taking out Fuller, the defensive coordinator for Oklahoma, but watch Cedric switch hands, go to the right hand, and complete it.
You don't think Tuck had a big piece of number 10, do you?
Wow. Chuck Reed was being choked on the backside of that pass pattern. I can't believe they missed that, but number 10, Chuck Reed from Oklahoma, I'm not sure who had him in a headlock, whether it was McMillan or...
And another unsportsmanlike conduct call against Oklahoma moves the ball further forward all the way down to the 6-yard line. Late hits following the pass by Bonner, and now Arizona has it at the 6-yard line. What does Mr. Bonner have in store next? He caresses, he whips, cannot complete it. In and out of the breadbasket of Oliver.
Another penalty flag, another one thrown. I mean, this has to be a all-time record here we're going for this late in the game to have this many penalties thrown consistently on each and every play.
We need a touchdown real quick here so we can get some of these guys out of the game where possible.
Oliver ran a great route, though. He came inside, convinced the defensive back, Dillard, that he was going to run an inside route, then broke to the outside. He just didn't hold on to the ball.
Wow, so the personal foul and illegal procedure both flagged on Arizona.
Bonner is down there complaining, how can you call a personal foul on the quarterback getting thrown into the dasher boards? He was just seeing stars at the end of that play, wondering how the Rattlers were guilty. We're going to get a chance to see the replay here of the throw. And Bonner did a good job putting it where it had to be, while Oliver just couldn't hold on to it. He had sold a great inside route to Dillard, who came up to make the tackle. And then Bonner was just thrown into the dasher boards on the other side of the field.
Meanwhile, it was Kelvin Ingram, heavy-handed, trying to rip the shoulder pads off of Tom Briggs, who was in pursuit of Bonner. They will repeat first down following the penalties and then mark it at the 13-yard line. Look at the amount of penalties they've compiled. 22 combined penalties between these two squads, and the 10 for Arizona is really very unaccustomed for Danny White to see his team flag that often.
Well, you're kind of getting dragged into it a little bit too.
Yep.
These guys are human.
First and goal from the 13. It's Jai Hill in motion. Muhammad Oliver spread out left. Bonner looking to Jai Hill, but it falls incomplete. They are calling one official, I believe, said that Jai Hill had possession, but very correctly, the official in the back of the end zone whistled it dead.
Well, he never beanbagged it either. Generally, if there's a fumble, the official will throw his beanbag down, and the side judge never beanbagged it.
Jai Hill lined up in the slot. We talked about this being open all night long, and it was last game also. If you remember, they threw this same pass to Maurice Bryant. But this time, the ball was in Jai Hill's hands, but credit the defense. They immediately made contact upon the reception.
My mistake, he did beanbag it.
I thought I saw something fly out of there.
But the back judge overruled him.
I wasn't sure if the beanbag flew or we were at Shea Stadium and John Rocker was making an appearance. 42-16, Rattlers on top. Here comes Iron Mac. Busted into the boards, thrown there by Butterfield. And there we go again. Away from the play, Tom Briggs squaring off.
I think they should just let him go. I mean, how much of this
turn the lights off and let these guys at it.
Whoever wins is right.
Yeah, there's the Butterfield.
Hey, that's what they do in hockey. Just let them have at it.
Once in a while, you blow a little steam off, and that's it.
I mean, when you're 6 feet tall and, over 300 after pregame meal, you're pretty hard to move around. I'll tell you what, Mark Tucker, though, got an unbelievable block on Chuck Reed that time to make that play work. He just pancaked him over on that side and allowed that running play to develop.
Tom Briggs has just come off the field following that exchange in the end zone.
He's tired. You think we got a rivalry brewing here?
Oh, my. This game may not be in doubt, but there are still fireworks ahead. Bonner, softball into the end zone, and it's brought down for the touchdown. Jai Hill, his third receiving touchdown here tonight in Oklahoma City.
Start warming up Thunderbird, please.
That looked like a basketball pass, but that's what you have to do when you have a receiver as tall as they had. That matchup, they're going to win every single time. I mean, we talked about how athletic Mark Ricks is, but it's impossible for a short defensive back to try to break up that ball when it's thrown in that manner.
So Jai Hill making his third touchdown reception. Cedric Bonner his 7th of the night, and he should be through for the evening.
Yeah, Jai Hill just went up and came down with that ball. It was just a size factor in the favor of the Rattlers.
Thunderbird puts it down, and he most likely will appear as the quarterback when we return. 8:13 to go in the fourth quarter. Rattlers on their way to a 9-2 record, making it 5-0 on the road. They are up big time on the Oklahoma Wranglers.
Has anybody seen my checkbook?
At Bank of America, we think your checking account should fit you perfectly. So we ask the right questions. Do you like to bank on your PC?
What?
At an ATM? In person? Maybe...
Dodge, different, Dodge. Different.
The massacre in Oklahoma City, 49-16. Arizona just rebounding impressively following that 17-day delay. And Oklahoma just 2 touchdowns in 9 possessions.
Those quick strikes by the Rattlers, specifically to Knox and Hill, I think just took the air out of this crowd. And then you put on top of that the penalties that this team has had. You see Lance Thunderbird on the sideline warming up. Wouldn't be surprised to see him here later in this game.
Oh my God,
hopefully not as a receiver.
Get somebody to catch for him. He couldn't catch a fart in a spacesuit.
Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah.
I guess you are now. When it's 49-16. Off the iron, it's a loose ball into the stands. Carlos Johnson nearly went into the first row going after it. Instead, it's a souvenir for the big fella in the front row.
Was he with that cowboy?
No, but he may suit up here before the night is through if Oklahoma loses any more players.
That's where they sit the taxi squad guys, right down there. They're in that first row, so you never know. Just give him a helmet, and they're on the field.
He's got the camera. He needs somebody to take a photo of himself with that rock in his hand. Oh, he's going to give it up to his buddy.
I mean, when you look back at last week, though, what's the problem with this team is their lack of offensive production. Last week against Iowa, they went 2 quarters without scoring any points.
Jeff Lutz again in replace of Ron Lopez. Bob McMillan right in his face mask. And a blind pass and a late hit. Carlos Johnson, Muhammad Oliver. And that was a shot about 5 seconds. and a flag drops now
Everywhere.
at the 2-yard line. Oh my, this game has been thrown to the wolves. Watch this left of your screen. Oh, Carlos Johnson, about 5 seconds, and Oliver did not move.
You know what? He ought to go just pack it in right now.
That is as embarrassing as it gets.
That is.
You tried the late blindside hit.
I hit him with a feather.
he will not be saving this tape for the archives.
Can you imagine what that will be like in film session tomorrow for Oklahoma? Carlos Johnson will be branded by his teammates. Lutz fires it deep. Incomplete, looking for Wes Caswell. Wes Caswell, a local product out of Tulsa, activated this week. A rookie who was in the Colts camp and actually accumulated more yards as a receiver at Tulsa than Steve Largent. How about that for using up your homework?
Looks like a relative of Steve's.
He's got those sleeves pulled up, a la Ron Wolfley.
Let's leave the recently married Ron Wolfley alone. Huh?
Oh, that's right. The radio color commentator for the Rattlers, taking a beating right behind us and has no idea that it's happening. Lutz out of his own pocket, intercepted by the hitman. Cedric Walker spinning and dropped at the 23-yard line. He goes back-to-back games with INTs against Oklahoma and now does his own little version of the Carlos Johnson shuffle.
Hey, Johnson missed another late hit that time, too.
He was going after Oliver again, thought he was going to get another piece of him when he wasn't looking, but Lutz never saw Walker. He came from the opposite side, as so often happens when you're concentrating on one receiver.
Cedric Walker also wanted to take that football back with him. It was a memento, but the referee said we'd still need it in play following the pick. I'm not sure if this was some type of a career mark for Cedric Walker, but he wanted to leave the arena with that ball tucked away.
He definitely loves playing against Oklahoma. I mean, you had that interception with the one he had the previous meeting.
Lance Funderburk now in relief of Cedric Bonner. Goes short to Hunky Cooper and falls incomplete. So Lance Funderburk, the backup quarterback who has only taken 4 snaps all season, thrown 4 passes, was 3 of 4 coming into this game with 2 touchdowns. So that's pretty impressive when you throw 3 completions and 2 for scores.
He was trying to do his imitation of Chad May, he said. Remember last year, Chad would come in, throw a pass, touchdown.
Oh, yeah, the team would trail by 21. Chad would come in with about 7 minutes to go, and next thing you know, the Rattlers are up by 7.
It's like a fire alarm. You know?
It'll be tough to top that rushing 2-point conversion in Nashville, one of the most exciting finishes for the Rattlers prior to Hunky Cooper's big return in Los Angeles. That kick return in the final second as Kevin Knox, who had himself such a big evening here, coughs it up, and Oklahoma will take over on the Kevin Knox fumble.
Kevin was in a lot of traffic downfield, and anytime you have more than one defender around you, you have to tuck the ball away, and you'll see the ball was stripped out, it was by Ricks. Ricks not only made the tackle, but managed to strip the ball out at the same time in grabbing Kevin Knox's left ankle, which he had a hold of the ball, and it just came out.
So we hit the 5-minute mark here in the 4th quarter with the Rattlers leading by 33. Jeff Lutz fires it deep over the middle. Melvin Phillips for 6. So a little something to cheer about for the hometown Oklahoma City crowd. A 32-yard strike. Jeff Lutz to Melvin Phillips.
Lutz, realizing doesn't have that much time of playing time during the course of the season, is going to try to make the most of it, taking his receivers deep downfield, and Lutz set up perfectly and delivered that ball right where it had to be.
You're not surprised, though, Gene Nuno, are you, by the talent level of Jeff Lutz? You all were very high on Lutz when he was with the Rattlers.
He throws a great ball, and, you know, if there was wind in this building, he even throws a better ball. When we were outside, it'd be windy. I mean, Jeff's a good quality quarterback. They did very well to get him as a backup. And we feel very comfortable with Lance Funderburk. And let's face it, the guy in his first start went out and won a playoff game against a good Nashville team last year.
And for Jeff Lutz, it was tough to break into that backup quarterback position. You had Cedric Bonner, then Donnie Davis. So Jeff Lutz moving along here in Oklahoma City. Wranglers now trailing the Rattlers 49-23.
Eric Camden leads the fight to condemn a man for murder.
We find the defendant.
Seventh Heaven on the WB Monday night. Then there's a place where the past is haunting.
I want to know everything.
The future is limitless.
I see it when I close my eyes. I dream about it when I go to sleep. It's not letting me wait.
Checker has more oil choices like Pennzoil, just 79 cents a quart after rebate with case purchase. And buy any 2 Pennzoil oil filters and air filters and get all 4 for only $12. More brands, more parts. Checker, the place to start for parts.
4:02 left in this one in Oklahoma City, and time now to check out our Truly Nolan stinger of the game. Truly Nolan, your hometown exterminator, and there you have it. Muhammad Oliver receiving, then leveling the blow.
That's like having somebody rip your stinger out. I mean, Johnson thought he was going to go over and just lay it on somebody. Boy, and Alcorn, he's going to have to get in that fine column too.
Second time that he's kicked it out of bounds, so Arizona will take over at the 20, but Muhammad Oliver turning to Carlos Johnson asking, is that all you got?
Okay, Alcorn was on the same flight with us from Denver. Of course, he rode in first class, and our players took note.
Zed now has gone from the helmet to the baseball cap as he is finished for the evening with his 7 touchdown passes, tying his season high. His career high is 9. And boy, we've seen some amazing offensive fireworks from other quarterbacks around the league, including Todd Marinovich, who had 10 touchdown strikes for the Avengers a couple weeks ago. Following a fine performance against the Rattlers in L.A. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Todd Marinovich if other NFL teams might be willing to roll the dice again.
Well, he's certainly learning the arena game, and they've done a good job of bringing him along. I don't know if, he's 31 years old now, and he's got a little bit of a history there. I don't know how many teams are really going to look that closely at him.
Bonner, Marinovich, and Ron Lopez, who started this one for Oklahoma City, were 3 quarterbacks who all tried out with the San Diego Chargers. As San Diego tries to find the next Kurt Warner. I think that's kind of
in fact, Lopez backed him up for 2 years in Iowa.
Nearing the 3-minute mark. Funderburk, plenty of time, fires a BB and caught there by Kevin Knox.
Now he'll be talking. Watch, he's going to talk a little bit now.
Oh, yeah. A little slap to the head by Mark Ricks following that reception.
I think Kevin Knox has got a set of hooks on him, man. Let me tell you.
Well, I think Kevin's just trying to get back at Ricks. Look at him, his right arm as he was coming out of that break, pushing Ricks off, and then just out fighting him for the football. And I think he's upset that last time Ricks was able to strip the ball from him on an incompletion in the earlier quarter. But it's really difficult when you have that much of a physical mismatch with a defensive back in terms of size and arm length to consistently come down with those balls.
5 receptions now for Kevin Knox, 78 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Knox in motion. The hand, though, goes to Paul Reynolds, the former ASU Sun Devil. Reynolds all the way down to the 1-yard line. Reynolds, who spends his off time as a personal trainer at La Camaria.
I'd love to see him get in the end zone. He is such a sweetheart.
He is one of the nicest guys to meet.
Really
played minor league baseball with the Rockies.
The guys that you ever see Cheers and Woody,
yeah.
They call him
Woody.
That
is perfect. He's similar face.
Yeah, he's just a great kid.
We're just glad that he's picked up some yardage here because the only stat we had on was 1 fumble. And then he didn't know where he was at.
And 1 unconscious fumble. He's in
Take
now,
it in,
though.
Paul. There he goes. Paul Reynolds diving into the end zone for the score at the 1:32 mark here in the 4th quarter. And that will complete the evening for the Rattlers. The first rushing touchdown for Paul Reynolds as a Rattler.
You could just sense when players want to get into the end zone, as Paul Reynolds did here. I mean, you could just sense that he was not going to be denied.
Let me tell you, there's not a second that he's on the football field where his heart is not in the right place. I mean, he's just a real worker, and he's going to learn. He's learning this game. Danny's bringing him along well, and Moran and McMillan have kind of taken him under the wing, and he's done a good job.
Paul Reynolds, who was a linebacker at ASU and then spent 2 years on a mission away from any type of sporting activity, football and baseball, and after his time with the Rockies in their minor league organization, decided to give football another shot. And credit Terry Ahern, again, the Rattlers strength and conditioning
you
coach.
Credit Terry Ahern. I don't want to
credit Terry because he saw Paul Reynolds and the type of buys and tries that he brought into the club as Bjorn Nitmo knocks it through.
Terry's brought us some very good players. He brought us Muhammad Oliver also. And, Terry's always looking out for the ball club and does a great job over La Camaria. Really does. He's a wonderful guy, Terry.
He is a wonderful guy. Are you getting that free club membership over there?
Yes, I do. Obviously, it's done me a lot of good.
1 minute to go here in Oklahoma City. It's been a big night for Danny White and the Arizona Rattlers on top 56-23.
I've been blessed with 5 daughters. Getting custom choice was the smartest thing we ever did.
For me.
3-way calling.
Good. One at a time, okay?
Caller ID.
It's Tommy. Tommy?
Last call return.
Now get all the phone features you need, including your phone line, in one custom package. Up to a $60 value for only $29.95. Make the smart choice. Custom choice from US West. Life's better here. Order now and get a smart rate on internet access.
Danny White and the Rattlers handily 56-23. Rattlers football back on the WB this Saturday when the Rattlers host Doug Kay's Carolina Cobras. Join Doug Blank and I at 7 o'clock for the Anything Can Happen action of Rattlers Arena Football on WB 61. Been kind of a long season for Doug Kay and Carolina, moving over as the defensive
Doug's a nice guy, too.
Doug's a nice guy, too. Everybody's a nice guy.
Brett Bender, also their general manager, who was with us for a long time. And they've got a very talented team. They won last week, and they're coming in high, waiting for us.
Boy, and they have moved around, shuffled that roster quite a bit. Players coming and going as Doug Kay tries to find the right formula to put a solid product on the ground there in Carolina.
He went and got a good proven arena quarterback in Fred McNair, and he's got some talented kids there. We'll have to come out ready to play, but I tell you what, we're on the verge of having a big crowd. We had over 14,000 sold for next week's game, so I'd like to see us get over 16,000 for a game. It'd be nice to be playing on a Saturday night.
Really start to get pumped up because the Rattlers, again, finishing with 3 of their last 4 on the road. It will be the last home game for the Rattlers in the regular season before the playoffs kick into gear. So head on out to the America West Arena this Saturday. Rattlers and the Cobras. Lutz, his pass is deflected up into the air. Wendell Gaines, unaware of the proximity of that ball, batted into the air. And Wendell Gaines, who was a star at nearby Stillwater, Oklahoma State. He and Kelvin Ingram both coming out of OSU.
When you're throwing that pass out in the short flat, that end has to be cut. That defensive end, or coming up from the outside, you're going to have to cut his legs down because otherwise he's going to get his hands in the time. And we've seen Gaines in a couple games this year just dominate in deflections.
Yeah, Oscar Sturgis put a nice arm under on the fullback, and then he got his other arm up as he came around, and he almost got Wendell in the pay dirt.
Stacey Evans again back in Phoenix, having arthroscopic surgery on that ankle during the break. Brian Green drilled into the pads by Hunky Cooper.
Spare no one. Hunky's motto.
Hunky Cooper will not stop playing. 50 seconds to go with the Rattlers leading by 33, and he's still laying on the heavy paddage. Stacey Evans, though, who had a Hall of Fame series in the last meeting against this Oklahoma team, what's his status? Because he really can put up some big numbers defensively.
He had a scope done the day after the last Oklahoma game. He probably could have played tonight, but it was in the best interest of the future of what we're trying to do here, to let him rest and get better. I think he'll be ready for the Saturday night game.
In motion, Melvin Phillips. Lutz looking for Phillips. Broken up by Andre Goins. First mention of the evening for Andre Goins, who came into this game with some pretty sparkling numbers for the amount of minutes he's played. 2 interceptions and 7 pass breakups. He had an INT last meeting against Oklahoma off a Cecil Doggett tip pass.
Yeah, it's good to watch. These guys have studied their playbook for this week. Oklahoma loves to run this outside route, and you'll see them continually coming downfield trying to sell it to the defensive backs before they break it out. And that time, Phillips just didn't do that good of a job. And Goins made a great acceleration on the break.
And if you're the Oklahoma Wranglers, you're just shaking your head as the Rattlers bring in their second stringers and still performing at that level. There's Goins taking Green to the boards with 39 seconds to play. Andre Goins, the younger brother of Eddie Goins, who has gone on into a television broadcasting career.
He's living a soft life now.
After blowing out his knee for the 3rd time. Eddie was a very polished receiver who had his eyes set on a possible another shot at the NFL, but blowing out his knee.
It was a good thing we had him last year, really, the way it turned out. And he won some ball games for us, and he would have been a great arena player if he'd have been able to stay healthy.
Lutz in and out of the hands of Brian Green, who dropped a would-be touchdown reception.
We got away with one there. Our linebacker rushed from the outside that time, and Paul Reynolds, actually, and we got away with it. I think the referees are just trying to get out of here at this point.
Yeah, I noticed that. They definitely don't want to bring out those flags in their back pocket.
Obviously, number 5 saying the same thing.
17 seconds left in this one for the Rattlers to move to 9-2. San Jose again standing atop the Western Division at 10-2. And boy, what a turnaround for that team, especially offensively. The type of numbers that they're putting up on offense with the SaberCats. Are you going to tell me that Darren Arbet, he's a nice guy?
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
You know what? I hope that we can keep winning, and I hope that they can keep winning, and somewhere down the road we can see each other again. Because they're nice guys.
I'm not ready to cry.
I know. Very emotional Gene Nudo up here. I've never seen him in such a loving mood. But I guess when your team is ahead 56-23, anything's possible.
Wow, I tell you what, it's been so long since you guys had me up here, I forgot how much fun this was.
Well, it's always good to have the Vice President, Gene Nudo, here on hand. And if you're not up here in the TV booth, I catch your radio program, you're getting plenty of airtime. I don't know what you're complaining about.
I'm getting too much airtime. We need to talk about the team more.
And there will be some momentum building, I'm sure. You talked about the big crowd that will be on hand for that Carolina game on Saturday. And boy, the playoffs for arena football at the America West Arena, there is not much better in the way of sports in the Valley. Brian Green up along the sidelines, and he finally gets his 6 points. He dropped a very easy touchdown reception and instead does it the hard way, crawling and climbing into the end zone along the sideline.
The Rattlers had a chance to make a tackle around the 8 or 9 yard line. I think it was Hunky Cooper. To credit Green, he was able to focus on the end zone. No, it's Cedric Walker. And he was able to turn upfield instead of running out of bounds and just get in the corner of the end zone.
So now Mr. Irrelevant, Darren Alcorn, who was the final draft pick in the NFL back in 1993 by Tampa Bay, thus the name Mr. Irrelevant, and he misses yet another point after.
I wonder if he's flying back with us tomorrow.
That is, I tell you what.
Not in first class. He better not be. Not after this performance. By arguably one of the better kickers in the Arena League.
Yeah, that's the worst game I've ever seen him play.
Well, I was guessing early on that he had the wrong shoe on the wrong foot. Because he's been kicking right, left. I mean, to see this kid, what he's done over the last few years in terms of accuracy and point production, and then to see what's happened tonight is just unexplainable.
Getting back to San Jose, they will close out their season with a bye week and games against LA and Buffalo. So Buffalo's playing good football. They've won 4 in a row.
So is LA.
Conceivably, they could go 12-2. You're right. But those two teams, LA and Buffalo, what a resurgency we've seen from those two franchises.
Well, you know, Stan Brock, the coach in Los Angeles, kind of stuck with his guys and tinkered with his personnel a little bit, and they got better. Buffalo, they had a change in the coach and general manager, and kind of just brought a little bit of an infusion. I've watched them play on the satellite a couple times in the last few weeks, and both of those teams are capable of beating San Jose if San Jose doesn't bring their A game with them. But you know, right now we can only worry about ourselves. We would love to finish our season at 12-2. Iowa came into this place and got beat last week, and you know, we came in and did a pretty good job against this team.
Alcorn with the squib kick on the turf over the head of Jai Hill into the hands of Hunky Cooper, and he is more than happy to just fall on it with now 3 seconds on the clock. Hunky down at the 5-yard line. Quickly, the upcoming future of arena football. You've got more teams on the way. Detroit, New Orleans, Chicago, Washington, and a team led by Ron Jaworski and Jim Drucker getting involved in the Arena Football
We're
League.
not sure where they're going to play yet. Right now, the Luries, who own the Philadelphia Eagles, have an option for the team in Philadelphia. maybe they'll partner up with Drucker and Jaworski. Jaworski obviously is a very big name in the Philadelphia market, New Jersey market also.
So some big cities, some big names jumping in on Arena Football. Final seconds here from Oklahoma City, and that will do it. Arizona Rattlers wrap up a 56-29 victory over the hometown Wranglers. Arizona moving to 9-2. Danny White's team still spotless on the road, 5-0 away from home. The Wranglers fall to 5-6 this season. We'll be back to wrap things up here on the WB. It's a convincing Rattlers win, 56-29.
A ship! I see a ship! Huh? Time to celebrate.
Hey, that's my Bud Light. Give it to me.
Sir, I'm receiving a signal.
Surrender or die?
Really?
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
Hit the road with the Simpsons.
This is going to be the best vacation ever, or we'll all agree to disband and join other families.
Agreed.
As they head for Itchy and Scratchy Land. What could possibly go wrong?
The robots won't go berserk for at least 24 hours.
Everything.
Nobody ruins my family vacation but me and maybe the boys.
The Simpsons.
Tonight at 10 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
When you're looking for value and people who care, come see us at Fry's. We'll always be right there. Count on us. Count on the people. Count on us. Count on the price.
You'll find your favorite cuts of meat at Fry's, including USDA Choice Aged Beef. It's the best beef in town, exclusively at Fry's.
You can count on us. You can count on us. Count on Fry's.
Checking in.
Yes, please.
Name.
Sometimes a name change is just what you need. Cellular One in Phoenix is now Alltel.
Right now at the Room Store, hurry in to our incredible July 4th Super Sale. And get no money down, no interest, and no payments till July 2001. Hurry in and save on this 8-way hand-tied, 100% top-grain, butter-soft leather sofa in your choice of rich bone or luxurious black, only $8.97. Don't miss our incredible July 4th Super Sale right now. And get no money down, no interest, no payments for a year. Only at the Room Store.
At the Room Store.
Buckle up, Rattlers fans, and get ready for a close encounter of the run-and-gun kind. The Rattlers Rally presented by Taco Bell. It's a chance for the whole crew to hang out with the Rattlers and Sidewinders, get their autographs, and enjoy a fun, free day of interactive games and clinics for the kids. Plus, you can get a free Rattlers t-shirt when you buy an enchilada at any Taco Bell and bring in the receipt. The Rattlers Rally at America West Arena, Sunday, July 9th from 1 to 4 p.m. Call the Rattlers hotline at 602-514-8338. Tonight's game has been brought to you by Bank of America. We find financial solutions that fit you. Let's talk. Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. By Checker Auto Parts. The place to start for parts.
So the Rattlers win at 56-29 over the Oklahoma Wranglers. Bud Light with our outstanding player. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. Jai Hill with a season-high 5 receptions, 66 yards, a trio of touchdowns, 3 tackles, and don't forget that forced fumble, knocking it loose, causing yet another Oklahoma turnover.
I think it's a credit to Jai Hill that the games that he didn't play this year, that he was always preparing himself in practice. And this was just a physical mismatch here. He took the ball away from Mark Ricks. And Mark Ricks had good position on that play, but just the height of Jai Hill made the difference.
Hunky Cooper had a couple of touchdown catches, and what about the play of Kevin Knox? He had 2 touchdown receptions in the first half when the Rattlers, for all intents and purposes, put this game away. So they win at 56-29. My thanks to Vice President Gene Nudo for joining us here in the booth in the second half. Dan Siekman has been our producer, Scott Rogers, our producer, and Doug Flank. My thanks to my main man in the booth here from Oklahoma City, where the Rattlers now move to 9-2. Cowboy Bob and the Wranglers go home a loser. Enjoy your 4th of July, everybody. Back in Phoenix, Tom Leander saying so long from the heart of Oklahoma.